don't know why, but after last night, I have a growing worry about the future of live sports and live events. Hello and welcome to The House That Happens, sponsored by Shoey's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke, voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA, the Phoenix rising from the ashes, #1 in our hearts. Hi, I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name is Cruz. In the immortal words of Johnny Rotten, do you ever feel like you've been had? Do you ever have the feeling that you've been had?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Yes, sir. I didn't even pay a single cent, but more on that later.
Okay. I was going to do a Spiro Agnew shout out, but I won't yet. We'll get to that when the due time. How was your week?
Not bad. Yours?
Yeah, pretty busy, pretty good. Everything's been wonderful. Stanley's been keeping me in line, so life is good.
That's good to hear.
Yes, 100%.
Let's get right into shout-outs. So the ATP Tour Finals going on right now. We have, I believe it's Fritz in the finals for the men, right? And then he is waiting for the winner of, I had it right open here. He is going to play, so Taylor Fritz, who is seeded number 5, will be playing the winner of Yannick Sinner versus Casper Ruud.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I always find at the end of the year that these guys, it's always an odd guy that wins, unless it's a Djokovic or Nadal and them back in the day, because it seems once the U.S. Open is over, like these are money events.
Sure.
And these guys are real rich and they can do what they want. However, since we're on that, I guess we should shout out to Coco Gauff.
Yes, she won the WTA finals.
I've been a little harsh on her behavior as yet because the girl's got talent. Just tighten up the screws, keep your personality at home. I think the match that really made it is she beat Sabalenka in the second round, in the semifinals. Yeah. A 3-match. It was really tight. I think 7-5 in the last set. And she beat Zheng in the finals, who's going to be a good player. I think that she has already won a major, maybe, Zheng? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
But she's been in the finals. She's going to be, we'll hear more about her in the new year.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Humber Hawks men's soccer team winning the national championship last weekend at Saturday in New Brunswick. They won 1-0 against Algonquin Wolf from Ottawa, the other really big program nationally.
That's Pembroke, by the way.
Algonquin?
Yeah, I think
Ottawa.
It's in Ottawa?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not
It's
know.
like West Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
And that was their 8th national title in the last 12 seasons. So
wow.
The dynasty continues for soccer at Humber.
Not only that, dynasty could be one of the words of the day. Just remember that. Big shout out to Humber, especially since they're basically our home school here in North Etobicoke.
Yep.
Right by Shoey's, a home of somebody that runs the province. We're good. We're good. You know what I mean? Big shout out to Humber.
We should have you come in or you should at least try and come in for the basketball game against Sheridan. That's going to be end of January.
Okay,
you got to come in early for that one because it fills up quick.
Okay, I will come that night. I always like watching live basketball. But anything that we can shout out to Humber, congratulations to you guys. I like the Dynasty field. And most of all, that my accomplice here gets to spend so much time broadcasting the games.
Yeah, and it's always a ton of fun. Also, shout out to Humber's men rugby team winning the gold medal in the province last Saturday against Conestoga, 33-14. Their first gold medal in 10 years. They were a little bit of a dynasty before that. Shit happened, to say the least, but they're back on top.
Congratulations.
Absolutely.
I love winners.
We know you do.
We love
and so do I.
Yes, of course. It's like your dog. All he wants is love and food. We just want winners. Okay.
Shout out to the PWHL players for getting into NHL 25 starting in December. It's going to be a free update in the game. So like they have the girls in FIFA, they have the girls in NBA. Now you get to play as the girls in NHL too, and I think that's pretty cool.
I do. I think it's cool too. But can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
Okay, so when
NHL is the worst of these sports games, by the way.
I know. I see that. I don't know why. Soccer's
it used to be
really
awesome,
cool.
but
soccer's really cool. I've heard. But when one of these days when I turn about 70, I'm going to buy a gaming thing, but I'm going to spend the money and get one of those 2 consoles so you can come over and we do F1. That's my goal by the time I'm 70. But in any event, I'm asking all the gamers out there, when all these girls come on your thing and you switch to switch and you go to what mode, how many times do you guys go to the girl mode?
Probably not that often.
What's the percentage of girls that are out there playing EA Sports games?
Probably not that high. But I will say this though, when you play as the girls and you want something, if it's the great equalizer, because you don't rely on like the guys having like crazy shots or crazy speed. So if you want a nice even match.
Okay, I was going to look at it. I was going to say congratulations to the girls anyway, just to get the exposure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything that opens the door to make things better. I'm good for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And speaking of them and broadcasting, I think it would be remiss because we don't do this often, but I would like to have a big shout out to Al Michaels on his 80th birthday.
Wow.
80th birthday, Mr. Al Michaels, who is now the most fun announcer on Thursday night because he gets
he doesn't give a fuck.
Exactly. He can say whatever he wants, but he's one of those guys like Costa, but a lot of the other guys are deceased.
He's way better than Bob Costas.
Oh, yeah. I would say, too, because Costas is more baseball related, and Michaels can do anything.
Al Michaels has less of an ego.
Probably. I never thought about it like that.
Costas has a big ego.
Well, maybe he does. Okay, but my thing about Al Michaels is this. He's like... Okay, he's 80. He's older than me, obviously. But the bottom line is I can't remember how many great events that I watched since I was a kid that Al Michaels was the dude doing it. Big shout out to Al.
Yeah.
Love his voice, love his commentary, and love where he is today. Keep on doing it, buddy. Don't retire yet.
Used to be the voice of Monday Night Football, called Miracle on Ice, the Do You Believe in Miracles? Maybe one of the most famous calls of all time.
Yeah,
exactly.
Put him on the map.
Yeah.
And he's called a couple of crazy golf tournaments, too. Okay?
Did some NBA back in the day.
Yes, he did. He did about everything.
I believe Doc Rivers was his color man.
Did you hear what Wilbon and Kornheiser said about them this week? And I remember that they were the most entertaining duo together because the personalities melded. You know how Doc is? And when Doc went away, it kind of like took away a little bit of Al's whatever because he didn't have the chemistry that he did with Doc Rivers. You know what I mean? But speaking of doing golfing events, I have to shout out to Caitlin Clark this week because if you see her on the basketball court and all she's done for everything in women's basketball, and she's got more moxie than I've ever thought. And if you don't believe it, she was at the Annika Sorensen, and some people said, oh, it's their fault for doing it. But this girl gets up to the tee box with all those people down the side and rips one right into the crowd.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see it? Okay, rips one into the crowd. I didn't care. I mean, what wasn't the ripping one into the crowd that got me? It was that she reached into her pocket with her breakfast ball, put it down, and drove one right down the fairway. Didn't even budge. I went, that's why that girl is stone cold on the basketball court. She didn't flinch. You go back and look at it. People forget like I've ever brought it up, but I thought that was the coolest part. Not that, and I hope no fan got hurt, which they didn't.
No.
But if you see the telephone cam where the ball was coming through the crowd, that thing had mustard on it. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that she just looked, reached into her pocket, teed another one up, and hit it right down the fairway because she's got a good handicap apparently. She's apparently a bit of a golfer.
Like mine, I think she's like a 12 or 16 or something.
Whatever the event, the girl can golf.
Which is very good.
Of course. And when you seen her hit the next shot, so big shout out to Caitlin Clark having the moxie. I like her more now.
We're big fans of Caitlin Clark on this program.
Can't wait till we get back to the Caitlin Clark report.
Shout out to CHL players who will be allowed to join the NCAA to play hockey next season. Details are still a little bit fuzzy right now. I think that's going to be worked out as the year goes on, but I think this is a huge step. We can both agree on that.
Yes, but.
Okay, what's the but?
I did a little research on this. This is going to be a very tricky situation, but I think it's going to be better for some players in this event. If a guy can come into the NHL at 21 and be more polished instead of coming in at 19 and 20 and we see 2 years of mistakes, that's going to be better for the quality of the game, for starters. However, for you to go to a college, you cannot have any attachment to anything that goes on in places like the O or the Q, and you know what I'm talking about. So if you're driving a Mercedes to the arena and you're a junior hockey player, I do not think you're going to get a scholarship from Michigan. I don't think you're going to get a scholarship from Notre Dame.
Well, there's NIL now, though, so you have guys doing that anyways.
Part two. Kids coming out of high school. Because you can play college, but you can go back to the O if you want, but you can only play in the O till you're 20, right?
I believe so.
Okay, so
maybe a little bit older.
It's a little bit sketchy. Okay, so you're a guy in, say, you're Cole Caulfield. Why would you go play in the O when you get $1 million to play where he played in college, and he's not a bad hockey player? So let's just go around the league and how many good players there are in the league that play in college. I think Matthew Nyes played in college, didn't he?
He did. He was a Minnesota Golden Gopher.
Thank you very much. So my thing is, how many kids will be enticed not to play in the O or the Q because of NIL money? Think about that. You know what I mean? Like, that's a possibility, right? Like, okay, let's, for example, I'd like to talk to Zach Sandu about this because he's playing for Oshawa.
Right.
But I'd like to say, hey, Zach, back when you were 17, if someone said this, what would you do? That's real money.
Sure.
You know
but
what I
I mean, it depends because like there's always going to be the, I guess, thought process that the O, the Q, the W that trains you better to play in the NHL.
Tougher, stronger, better.
You get the work schedule is closer, you know.
Okay, so I'm going to look at it this way.
Meanwhile, college, it's college. You're a student first, right?
But the amount of time you spend on the ice on fundamentals cannot be underestimated.
I get that.
Okay, so you know what I mean? Like you have a training camp and then they throw you to the Wolves and you're basically learning on the job in the O because you get all these situations that you're going to see in the NHL, so to speak. Correct?
Yeah.
But, I mean, some of these guys coming in the league, and I hate to say it, like I think some of my beloved defensemen or my beloved Habs should have spent more time in college on their fundamentals when I see them play D. Okay, just got to be honest about this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. But I think what we're talking about, that would take years to kind of develop because I think the O
within five.
Yeah, exactly. Within 5.
Within 5.
Whoa. I'm going to say because I think the CHL's reputation precedes it.
Oh, money changes everything, bro.
Sure.
I'm going to tell you this. Like, what kid, like, if you're going to come up to the kid's house and you're going to pull up in a Lamborghini and say, kid, you ever want to own one of these?
Yeah, but I think
sketchy things go on.
I get that, but, like, people are still going to view it as an investment, right? Like, people are going to be like, well, it's less now, but if you play this later on, you're going to make the money in the show.
So how much money are you going to get from playing for the Windsor Spitfires? Just say
you don't get much.
Okay, one of their players now, all of a sudden this guy can go play Windsor, and the kid they say, hey man, I know you can play for the Spitfires, but we'll give you $500,000, and if you win the Hobie Baker Award, are you going to be drafted into the NHL?
Of course.
Okay, so they're going to have that kind of carrot dangled in front of them. Let's see. We're all just talking about what's going on here. I personally think it's a good thing.
Because I think this is going to take like 10 years. Possibly more. I say the money swings faster because in my lifetime, everything that I thought was going to be slow before came faster. So I'm going to lean on the side of we're going to see some shit go on. You know, and I think it's good for the sport. I think so too. Bottom line, I think it's a positive for the sport. Once again, we got to remember, we see what's going on in college football. That's all you got to know. Yeah. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Good luck to all those guys. I think it's a great rule. We at the House That Happens support that. And speaking of college football, the second edition rankings for the 12-team playoff came out this week. Not too much movement. There was a little bit, but I think the big one is Georgia this weekend potentially falling out if they lose to Tennessee today. They're not going to lose at home, but can we say one thing about... You don't know that. Okay, I don't know anything really, but that's why I just talk and hope I can convince you. But the bottom line is I'm going to go to, which I always see this, it's like when they say the polls for a politician. Sometimes when I look at these rankings, I look at them the same way. Who's doing them and why? Now, we all know what's going on in college football. 4 teams from the Big Ten are in the top 10. There's 4 teams from the SEC. And so already before the playoffs start, what's that going to tell you? This is that the SEC and the Big Ten are running show here. Yeah, I think people estimate that when all said and done, there's probably going to be 7 teams combined from the Big Ten and SEC. I don't know if that should be the right way to do it. I think there should be a cap off. You know what I mean? But that what they're going to say is they don't want another Florida State from last year. But look what happened to Florida State. Which they were proven right for not allowing them in. There you go. So be careful what you bite on before you start talking. But in any event, I'm saying that I'm going to say Oregon, OSU, and Texas were going to be around that anyway because I even said last week when they were... OSU? Ohio State. Oh, that's why I don't like to say that. No, I don't like. Okay, I'll call it the Ohio State University. The team that I like to hate more than most teams on the planet. Let's just get that straight here, okay? But in any event, those schools have had a loss, and that's not going to affect them because there's going to be a lot of 2-loss teams in this. There's no doubt about it because especially the quality of the teams at the top of the SEC and the top Big Ten. I respect that. But that doesn't mean you're the be-all and the end-all of everything. And that's what it's trying to be. For example, if Miami lost a game, okay, they lost last week to Georgia Tech. Okay, now, Miami was considered, they were top 4. They were one of the teams that were going to get a bye. They lose 1 game. Slipped all the way down to 9. Okay, so what's going to happen? That takes the credibility away from that school, that conference now. So if SMU beats Miami, if they both get to the conference finals, that means Miami might not even make the playoffs. Sure. And they were a top 4 team all year. Oh, because you play in the ACC? Is that how, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah, no, that's a little weird. I agree with that. You know, and Georgia Tech is proving that they were a decent school. Kentucky battled these guys down to the wire every game. Like, I'd like to see what happened if Kentucky played Purdue.
Like sometimes let's put those teams together and see what value you got, because there's always a 2-tier in college football. We know that.
Yeah.
In every conference. And that's why Indiana's such a crazy story. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Indiana's not 9-0 now.
10-0.
10-0.
They're off this week, but next week they're at Ohio State.
Okay,
that's going to be the big one.
Oh, definitely it is. So they're 10-0 now. What do they rank? 6?
Yeah. Fifth.
Okay, finally 5th. Okay, if they were 10-0 and it was Ohio State or Georgia or Alabama.
Somehow Oregon got number 1, though.
Because they haven't lost. They're a good school.
There's Indiana. I guess they didn't earn
but
it,
the quality,
though, right?
the quality of the sched, they say is much different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The sched is much stronger. Like they're bitching because Indiana's strength of schedule is 100th of the top 25 teams. Something like that. And then you get something like my team falling down this year, Michigan, and that was supposed to be a big win on their record. But now that Michigan's where they are, they can't be considered one of those, what do you call it, important wins or ones you mark on your
calendar.
They're
5-5, so.
Yeah, so like, well, what's their credibility as a big win team? You're not. Like now, last year, and maybe in the future, it'll be like that. So I think Penn State is one of those schools we got to understand. And if 10-0 is 10-0, I think they should be top 4. I think they should be right behind, maybe not Ohio State, but they could be 3rd. But what about Texas? They've only had 1 loss.
Yep, same as Penn State.
Yeah, and they've all had great games. But I don't think Penn State's schedule has been that much greater. They both beat Michigan. So what? You know what I mean? They both beat USC. So what? You know what I mean?
Both beat UCLA. So what?
So what? That's what I'm saying. That's what's going to go down there. So it's always what it is. It's a made-for-TV event, so everyone can tune in on Tuesday and then talk to the gamblers.
Yeah. So one thing I found weird was I was looking at how the playoff turns out. So the first round, it's basically a home game for those teams, right?
Yep.
But then once you get to the quarterfinals, then it's like the traditional bowl game. So I just found it so weird that the Rose Bowl used to be the championship, basically. Now it's relegated to a quarterfinal match.
Because of money.
I know, but it's weird, isn't it?
A lot of things. I was telling the other day, when I was a kid, you'd know 4 bowls: Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl,
Rose Bowl,
and Sugar Bowl. Those were the big 4.
Yep.
You knew there was, and then one of those companies came in and gave it the Milani Pizza.
Were the semis the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl?
I think they all are too, because now the guys that are going to be, it's going to be FedEx Express Championship and Emirates Airlines, whatever. You know what I mean?
Nothing beats the Pop-Tarts Bowl from last year, though, and that's coming back.
Oh, I know, it's got to, because that's a great thing about college culture. You can throw things in like that. It's really, really cool. But, we're going to find out about this very soon. I think this is going to change dramatically. I think the sleeper thing is, and we cannot stop talking about it, or anyone can stop talking about it, is the fact that if Colorado gets to the championship and they've been the Big 12, where does that put Deion Sanders on the mantle of coaches already?
Ooh.
Like, you got to figure that
pay attention.
Colorado hasn't won more than 4 games in college since 20 years. I don't know.
And now they're 7-2.
And now they're 7-2, and they got their destiny in front of them. Should be interesting.
Yeah, 3 very winnable games ahead of Colorado versus Utah this weekend, at Kansas, and then versus Oklahoma State.
I think their biggest game is Oklahoma State's going to be one, because I think it's in Oklahoma State.
I think they play it at home.
Utah is the big game, because Utah's number 1 in the conference right now, I believe. So that's the big game. They're saying that out of those 2 teams, they could be at one's getting.
Actually, BYU's number 1 in that conference.
Oh, BYU, yeah, that's right. So they got to beat Utah, because they're in that conference, to get to BYU in the championship game.
Well, right now they're sitting at number 2. So, and I really doubt that Iowa State or Kansas State are going to pass Colorado. So
let's hope not.
They could get in the tournament. We'll see.
That's for damn sure. Now, we would be remiss, as we are doing our shout-outs, if we didn't say, welcome Taylor Swift to the GTA.
Yes.
I don't care that she had a motorcade coming into the city. I don't care if a little bit of downtown is blocked off. I'm not going to any of the shows, so it's easy for me to say sitting in this catbird position. But I just want to say that the amount of positivity that seems to be emanating from this event going down at the Dome is just amazing. I still don't know any of her songs. I hear the show is fantastic. James Hetfield is my number 1 critic for that, because he's ranting about it. But people, if you look around the city, there just seems to be, everywhere you go, because she's there, even the personalities on TV, there's something positive is happening in the city that this young lady has brought. And I hope it could be sustained for a longer period of time than the week that she's in town.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, are you going to any of the shows?
I wish I was.
Really?
Well, she puts on a show, right?
Yeah, I guess it is. But I would call it like more, to me, it would be like a Vegas thing. Because being the music guy that I am, and I know she has a hot band. Okay, whatever. I would still be
a lot of the same musicians that she's been playing with since the beginning.
Oh yeah, and they're all good players. This is a polished band. Like let's not say that. It's an amazing show. Everything you want to say about it, and that's why I should just shut up right now. Just saying that. What I would say is that when I put pizza, I put Soundgarden on my pizza, not Taylor Swift. That'll put it politely.
Sure.
Anyways, thanks for being in down. Thanks for the positivity. Everybody have a great time. I don't see anything but smiles when I hear about this show.
Absolutely. And lastly, a bit of a negative shout out to the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight from last night. I watched it. I know you watched it.
Okay, so I think I said on the
it was about what we knew was going to be.
Al Capone safe.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite Evel Knievel going over the Grand Canyon.
I wish I would have bet on Jake Paul winning by decision. That was the easiest call to make ever.
Oh, I never even knew you could bet on it. I thought they would take it off
Really?
the board. No, I wasn't paying attention to that.
No, come on. They must have been taking bets.
Well, but then just to think about it, okay, I knew where the fight was going right away because, first of all, I've been watching fights since I was a kid. When I seen the size of that ring, I went, oh, wait a second here. But Mike acquiesced to all of this. I just want to say one thing. As soon as he hit Tyson through one punch, Jake Paul got on his horse and ran because Mike has the power. He doesn't have the legs. I'm just happy that Mike didn't get knocked silly. I think that this doesn't do anything.
I kind of figured that wasn't going to happen.
I'm looking at it this way. Did this put Jake Paul on the map as a serious contender fighter? Come on.
No.
Come on.
He fought an old man.
Exactly, and he ran around the ring and stuck out his tongue. So what? But that being said, I have to respect this. I didn't even know who this Jake Paul guy was 5 years ago. I don't know about influences. I'm an old man. I'm not online. I don't do this shit. You must respect a man that's generated a spectacle, that he filled AT&T Stadium and crashed the Netflix site last night. Look, the commerce that guy drew in, like if you hate the guy more than you hate anything in life, you have to respect what this guy has done from a financial point of view. And oh, by the way, I know Mike's legs were a little tired and he was a little bit abrasive, but there is an estimated between $20 and $40 million that Mr. Mike Tyson took home last night. So we can feel sorry for him, but are we really feeling sorry for him?
Not really.
I would walk around for 20 mil. Take a few shots. I mean, like, Tyson's probably been hit harder than his sparring partners that he was hit by Jake Paul last night.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in any event, just remember, in the immortal words of Spiro Agnew, you can fool some of the people all of the time. You can fool all of the people some of the time. Last night was all of the people some of the time. You know what I mean?
It's interesting, though, with Netflix getting the live sports events. They had the Alcaraz. I forgot who was playing in that exhibition. Was it Nadal?
No, it was Alcaraz and no, it was a guy, your Italian guy.
Sinner?
Yeah, I think it was Sinner.
I didn't watch that match, but I knew that was a thing. This is, I guess, a new thing for sports. And Netflix is doing Christmas Day games for the NFL. I don't know if that's in Canada, though. I'm
not really sure. I just know this.
I don't suspect so, but I'm not sure.
Remember that thing that we said about the NFL as a slut?
What's boxing?
They got Netflix is just about as bad from their angle because look, they're jumping in on everything, right? It's like you were saying, like an interesting thing, like all those hockey games on Prime on Monday night. How much money is Prime making off those? They could be like, I think you were the one that said to me, they could be losing money on this, but what does it matter? They're drawing all eyeballs to the screen that might pick up on something else that they're broadcasting. Yeah. So all about money, people.
Sure.
Anyways, the next time you have an event like this, just think Al Capone safe, Evel Knievel jump in the Grand Canyon, and now we have the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. We'll put them all in the same category.
Stupidity reigns supreme, apparently.
There you go.
Moving over to stupid speed in Formula One, it is the second of back-to-back weekends without a race, so that's a big boo from us. But, of course, we got Vegas next weekend, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Checo Perez situation keeps raging on, and it looks like he may lose his seat for next year.
Oh, Sergio?
Yes, he will.
The more I've been following, the more I've been looking, and he should be a little quieter. Sometimes you got to be humble. You know what I mean? Like, this is what have you done for me lately world.
Not much. When was his last podium? Like,
as I was saying, like, Sergio, when you're talking about your resume, okay, your resume is old now. You know what I mean?
Hasn't made the podium since China, which was what, in May?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he didn't have the best of years last year. He was okay,
no, he did not.
But he did not have the best of years last year. So, and with Max chirping about Mercedes cars lately and stuff like that, who knows what's going to happen by this time next year in F1? You know what I mean?
Well, who knows what's going to happen next week?
Oh, I'm interested in that. One of the things that, this is Vegas, I like the glitz about this track.
Well, hold on. Before we get to Vegas, one more thing is Alpine switching to Mercedes engines in 2026. There was a little bit of a rumor before, and it certainly is trending the way that Alpine and Renault are just going to get out of F1 entirely.
Wow.
Well, why would you get rid of your engine program? That's a bad sign there. That's a sign that you're not confident in your program.
So just don't you take your money, get another engine, and hope for the best?
I think that's phase one. Phase two is sell the team.
Ooh.
I forgot who the interested buyer is now, but I mean, it's F1. You're always going to have interested buyers. Whoever is the next son of a gun with money in line, step up.
Andretti's still got his crew on the sidelines sniffing around.
That's a potential one. That's interesting, too, because a few years ago when Andretti was first getting their bid together, they were going to team up with, they were going to be a Renault customer, which was interesting. Obviously, that changed. I think now if they said they would come, they would move to, well, they were saying Mercedes, but I think they want to develop their own engine program now, so
well, that's a scuttlebutt. I heard, like, that Mario Andretti's, like, going to redo Formula One or something, and I'm thinking, buddy, you can't even get in the door.
I know.
However, another interesting
and you wonder why people don't like him.
Oh, there you go. But before we do get to the race next week, I wanted to ask you about this because there's something else that I seen coming across I thought was kind of interesting because, like I said, I'm still trying to get versed in this game, is that I found it interesting that they extended the Monaco race to 2031. This race is like 75 years old. So I was kind of caught off guard by thinking, I just don't these races go on in these places all the time?
No, everything's on contract.
Everything's on, yeah. So they will now be racing this race on the first week of June until...
I think that's a race that needs an overhaul. They need to do something with that.
Because it's 75 years old.
Yeah, okay. and how tight the track is. Like, it's not an exciting race. Like, qualifying Saturday at Monaco's the best, but
okay, so then
Sunday is... you know, checking my watch, you know.
Okay, I got
coffee.
you. I got you, but I'm maybe because I'm a bit of a I'm not like I say, I'm not a nostalgia guy, but I like traditions. And when they show those old, like they were showing the old footage, like from all the races there, the common denominator is you still got to get your car around that track, and nothing's changed about the track.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the cars used to be way smaller.
Oh, of course. That's what I'm saying. When you think about it now, I understand you're thinking that way, but I'm just saying, okay, this is just 1 week of the year. You got to find a way to adapt to something that's been going on for 75 years. Because look when they got these other tracks. Look what they did in Vegas. Look what they did in Saudi. They just built these crazy ass
things. Those aren't great tracks either that you just mentioned.
No, I'm not saying, but I mean, at least they tried to put out a configuration that would be accommodating to the cars that are running today. I don't necessarily agree it's worked that way because I've seen some of those hairpin turns and I go, what? You know what I mean? And when you can do that DSR stuff. But,
DRS, yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. So all of these races, so like you're saying, you have the belief that we're going to be in Vegas next week, but we won't be in Vegas in 10 years. That's your take, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
last year they had trouble selling tickets. I don't imagine it's changed that much this year, that situation.
Really? They didn't sell enough tickets? Because too much going on in Vegas.
Well, and they were charging way too much.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Like the ticket packages were ridiculous. Like, you think it's ridiculous here in Montreal. Oh, just look at the Vegas prices.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
I bet you they're still available.
Wow. I did not know that. I'll take a look at that along the way. So hence the reason somebody comes along like some other guy, billionaire, somebody says, I want to put a race in Perth, Ontario, and they could pull it off. Is that what you're saying? I'm not, never be
I think they should go back to Germany. It's been a while since we've had the German Grand Prix.
We don't have a German Grand Prix?
It's been like 3-4 years since they've been in Germany. Nürburgring is a great track, too.
It's just sitting there doing nothing?
I mean, the other series race there, just not F1.
Oh, I think that kind of caught me off guard. I think that I'm agreeing with you. Let's get the race back to Germany.
Portugal is a great track that's not being used. Russia, Russia's its own thing, but they were supposed to have one in Sochi that was just built, and it looked like a tremendous track. But
Well, the politics is what screwed up Russia because
it wasn't, the old track was in Sochi. I forgot where they built the new one, but either way.
In any event, when you were first getting me involved in this, Russia was sticking up their head then, but that's a couple, 3 years ago, and a lot has changed in the last couple, 3 years that it's kind of put them on the back burner, so to speak. But it should be an interesting race. And now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Agreed?
Yeah, agreed. Ferrari, McLaren, that's the big one. Because I think we both agree that Max has got the title in the bag.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm just saying that I thought that the last race Ferrari gave up some points that maybe they shouldn't have. I still believe that.
Well, yeah, Sainz had some rough luck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm still saying if I'm a betting man, and maybe I'll go to one of those pro bet places and see what the odds are and put my money on Ferrari to win the Constructors, because it's 3 races, right?
3 races plus a sprint in Qatar, which is the middle race.
Well, yeah, okay, so I think that there's enough points out there that they can sneak by. Now, if you've been listening to the show, me and my love-hate relationship for Zach Brown, I'm just going to tell you this. At the end of the year, when Ferrari has beaten you, we'll go back and do a checklist on all the points that you have lost during the course of this season that should have put you comfortably ahead to win the whole thing.
And that's going to be a long list.
Well, I'm working on it. You know what I mean? I'm working on it. That's what I'm saying. In any event,
the race actually did a great video about that at mid-season, about all the points that McLaren threw away.
Well, that's one of the ones I had watched right there, that one. And I said, because that was like one of my learning lessons. And I knew a few of them, but then I kept watching and I'm going, and there's such fundamental things that they have done, like pit stops or the wrong tire or whatever, the whole battle of who's their main car. Like there's
stuff that their competitors have been getting right.
Yeah.
Not them.
Yeah, and then they had the car with the best pace on given days and all these other stupid stuff.
Arguably the best car this year still.
That's arguably correct. The other thing I wanted to say is that the way that it moves in F1, Alpine made a good move last year, and guess what? They're going to keep their 6th place position.
Well, there's 3 races left to go, and they got a couple teams nipping at their heels. But I mean,
this should be a confidence to keep them them on their 6 going down the line.
And even so, like if they finish 7 or 8, that's a lot better than 9.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. They've got to pop because Gasly drives for them, right?
Gasly and Ocon.
Yeah, ask Gasly. I like Gasly. He looks like the guy that smokes a joint before he jumps in the car.
I like Gasly a lot too. Yeah, he's a bit of a fan favorite. So.
Yeah, he's got to be. Look, he's got that personality. You know what I mean? Like if he was in Max's position, he'd be the more likable guy out of the two. You know what I'm saying? But big shout out to Max, who just says whatever he wants. Like people understand this is like he's like the LeBron. Just when he says something, people are listening, and you gotta read between the lines with this guy. Max ain't stupid.
No,
and he's saying some shit about cars. Like I think that his position at Red Bull is pretty damn good, but he wants the best car. He wants the best car.
He's a competitive guy. Of course he does.
You know what I mean? And it's what I'm getting at is the villain aspect of him. If Red Bull don't tie their shoes as tight when they get in this offseason, something comes up, I could see Max parachuting right into a Ferrari car or a Mercedes. Oh, yeah. That's
and then there would be interesting, too, because it sounds like Red Bull has some interest in George Russell, so it'd be like a one-for-one trade almost.
Point well taken.
Yeah.
I heard Lewis Hamilton is starting to be sounding like he's on the downside. Interview with him this week. I didn't know he was that old. He's 39.
Yeah, well, that's basically, it sounds more like now that Mercedes let him go rather than him wanting to leave.
Yeah, because when it first was announced, everything was copacetic. And I always said, you know what, that just seems weird. How can you go, you're going to be on this team, but you're on this team now? Like, and no other sport does that.
No.
Okay? So now, and I remember back on one of the shows, I said, that just seems weird to me. This is just too smooth. Now it's getting to the end of the season. It's not as quite as smooth as I thought.
No,
okay?
it is not.
Because I just said, okay, we'll just wait for the tide to settle and look around. And obviously, I think he was pushed. My opinion is
of course
he was pushed. You know what I mean? Even after all that. Because
especially like Toto's had a couple lines, but...
There you go. And not only that, this is one of the most ruthless sports on the planet. So, you know what I mean? So, he had a great career. What is he worried about? No tears, buddy. Just go and jump in the Ferrari car and see what happens.
Be strong with the red.
You got it.
We'll move us along to the Grey Cup, where it was a big weekend for the Toronto Argonauts. They pull off the upset in Montreal, 30-28 in the East Final. Chad Kelly, 11 for 22 passing, 182 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, had 26 rushing yards on the ground. Unfortunately, he injured his tibia and he broke his ankle late in the third quarter. So a little bit of a unfortunate circumstance there at the end. Winnipeg beats Saskatchewan 38-22 in their West final, so that sets up a Toronto-Winnipeg match in the 111th Grey Cup. That'll be tomorrow, 6 p.m. from Vancouver. Nick Arbuckle's going to get the start for the Argos. Winnipeg a 9.5-point favorite for this game, so I'm going to say take the Argos on the point spread.
Chad Kelly. Okay, so that's all we're going to say?
There's some things we could say.
We're not. We're trying to be good about these things nowadays, so we'll keep it in our back pocket. So if anyone's listening, we'll say exactly what we were thinking when we're off the air, but we've decided to...
I mean, if you listened to the show earlier in the year, you know our feelings about it.
Exactly, and...
but it's not time to kick a man when he's down.
Exactly, and it just seems ironic that this guy easily was showing why he's the best quarterback in the CFL with an NFL arm.
Exactly.
And to get to the door like that, oh, well, sorry. So sad, too bad kind of deal. But
yep.
I'm going to say this. You looked up a stat, so I did a rundown of it. The Argos have not lost in the Grey Cup since
1987.
1987. Like when they rear their head, they win the cup.
Yeah.
And
91.
92, they won 2 in a row.
No. 96, 97 with, what's his name? The
Flutie?
little guy. Flutie, yeah.
So it was 96, 97, was it? Okay, 96.
That was their back-to-back.
Okay, back-to-back. So anyway, they've won about 5 Grey Cups in this period of time.
Well, I think more.
Is it more?
Yeah, because 91, 96, 97, 2004, 2012, and they won another one since.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah. And they won 2017 or something too. So, so.
In any event, and
it's basically like a 7-game Grey Cup streak.
Okay, and not only that, I've taken a look at that, and in a situation like this, they've not always been the favorites.
Nope.
And
rarely the favorites going into the Grey Cup.
And they've seemed to pull it off, but I'm just looking at it this way. Is Winnipeg Blue Bombers a dynasty? This is their fifth Grey Cup in a row, though, bro. Come on.
Oh, hey, mad respect to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of what they've been able to accomplish here.
Exactly, especially when they had that clusterfuck all season in the West when we were BC going to the Grey Cup. BC,
Montreal. That's what it looked like for the longest time.
Yeah, BC went Montreal, and they're both at home. But that's the unpredictability of the CFL. So what am I going to do? I'm probably going to take the Argos in the points and say they're going to try to win one for Chad Kelly.
I think they're going to win the game.
Okay, so here's an interesting fact I wanted to put about the CFL that really surprised me. The minimum wage the minimum wage in the CFL is $70,000. Okay, the kid that got brought off the what's his name, Brian Scott, who has not been on the roster since June.
Okay,
got called into play. Even if he loses, I think they get $8,000 if they lose. However, if you add it up all together, is it $18,000 they win? If you win the semifinals and the finals, and then you get in there, you end up getting about $25,000 bonus for winning the Grey Cup.
Okay.
Which isn't bad money. We're here in Canada.
No.
Okay,
I'll take that.
Everyone will. So I think it's quite interesting that now Chad Kelly will get his share because he was on the team. But this Brian Scott, when I'd heard about this, I think it's pretty funny. This guy just jumped off his couch. If the Argos win, I think he only gets $18,000 because he doesn't get the money that they won in the semifinal.
I'm fine with that if I'm him.
That's what I'm saying. It's just a kind of weird way, but I didn't realize, I guess you do in every sport, but especially meaning something in the CFL where the salaries are like we're saying, the minimum salary is $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
That pushes you up to the $100,000 back for the year. I'll take that every time. So good luck to the players that are the rank and file, so-called blue-collar guys that are putting the entertainment on the field and putting their bodies up for all that stuff. At least you're making a little bit of quid.
At least.
You go. So you're liking what are you taking? The Argos in the points?
Argos in the points, and I'll take the Argos for the win as well.
Oh, I'm just going to stick with Argos in the points. It's Huey's. A big shout out to the crew that's going to have a party tomorrow.
Sure. And to our point before, Winnipeg, the dynasty. So 5 Grey Cups. Yeah, 5 Grey Cups in a row, but they won the previous COVID one and then the post-COVID one. But they lost the last 2 Grey Cups, so they need this one to be a dynasty.
Otherwise, they're just another run-of-the-mill good team?
Yeah. Almost great.
Almost.
That's actually a line.
AG.
Yeah.
You're AG.
AG.
You're AG, buddy. I'm going to start using that. What are you? You're just AG, man. Almost great. Almost great.
Good, but
you know what? But I'm still saying in any sport, like look at we bask in what you were talking about, just what Humber has done. When there's some of their programs all the time, that length in time to win anything, especially this day and age, to spread it over 5 years, Huge shout
Well,
out.
with number 2 men's soccer, like the amount of turnover they have in these college programs too.
Which even more. That's what I'm saying. So I'm giving. I want to just give the Winnipeg Blue Bombers their flowers, win or lose, 5 times in the Grey Cup in a row. I don't think it's happened since the Warren Moon days of the Edmonton Eskimos. Let's just hope it's a great game. I'm probably going to be honest with you. I'll probably hit the PVR on it because at 6 o'clock, that could be in the middle of a big game tomorrow afternoon and another sport that's going on.
I think I'm going to have the dual screens tomorrow. I'm going to have Red Zone. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but one screen's going to be Red Zone, the TV, and then the iPad's going to have whatever is not on.
What on it? Yeah. That's the way to go. You know me, I'm laughing. I'm laughing as we change our recording place. You'll get to see it on a regular basis more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like Batman at the end of the Dark Knight. You have like all those TV screens just looking at everything.
Yes. And I've mastered the 2-game hockey game. That's it. You don't watch nothing else. Just watch the 2 hockey.
I think, watching more than one hockey game is, I applaud you for that, sir. Put it that way.
I'm so pathetic. I keep the sound on in both games, too.
That's outrageous, but we will not get to that.
Okay.
It's neither here nor there. So good luck to our Toronto Argonauts.
Huge shout out to the Argos, especially here to the Shoeys crew that has supported them all year. Big shout out to you, Nick Sanchi, because I know what a diehard you are, and I know you're not going to Vancouver, but you'll be watching the game. Speaking of that crew out there, it was remiss of me not to say a quick shout out to Kevin Pick. He's still giggling about your Rover line.
Shout out Kevin Peck.
About the San Francisco Sluggers, because I had told him about that. We're not going to spend any time on it, but I just had to let you know. I know somebody was going to, because it was so organic when you said it. And of course I went off. What? It entertained, especially Mr. Kevin Peck.
That's what we're here to do. We're here to entertain.
There you go.
One team that has not entertained us very much recently is the Toronto Blue Jays, and they are in on the Juan Soto meeting. They were actually first in the door with Mr. Soto in, I don't even know where they're meeting, to be honest. But
I think it's somewhere in Arizona. How come we only got a 2-hour meeting and...
Because he's not coming here.
We only got a 2-hour meeting and somebody got a 3-hour meeting.
Makes
Sox.
you think.
Red Sox got 3 hours. We got 2.
And you were saying the Red Sox weren't even going to be that serious.
They parachuted in out of nowhere. That's what it is. Now, here's what scares me about the Blue Jays right now. I don't know if you know who Jeff Passett is. You know who he is.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We all love Jeff Passett. The Blue Jays are insanely active. Like, he's an insider, and all he's saying is every time he turns around, freaking Blue Jays have their...
that's the same old story, though.
Wait. But here's his comeback, and this just made me cringe.
Oh, no.
He said the Blue Jays, they got their poker in every fire. Like, every time he looks up, the Blue Jays are around on a lot of players. So his take is this.
They're spreading themselves too thin?
No, it's going to be the greatest offseason in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays or the biggest failure. No in between. Doesn't that make you cringe?
That makes me fucking nervous.
That's what I said when I heard that. I put my coffee down, put my hands and said, what did he just say? Like, for any Blue Jay fan, that's like almost a kiss of death. This is like Ohtani Part 2. However,
it's like I've been saying.
And it's making me nervous, but the fact that I like is last year you didn't hear. It was Ohtani. What's plan B? There was no plan B. Just the fact that you know that every time there's somebody coming up, including the players I brought up, Willie Adams.
Adames, yeah.
Yeah, Adams, whatever his name is.
Who the Jays have a meeting with.
Thank you very much. And that Tanner guy, that reliever that went to San Diego, they picked up in the offseason. Yeah. They've been in on him. They've been in on Corbin Burns. They've been in on Max Fried. They've even had a kick at Pete Alonso, and we're going, wait.
No,
you know
no,
how we
no,
feel
no,
at the house about that. Who else there is? There's 3 or 4 other guys out there, prominent relievers, and the Blue Jays have been around them because I've been screaming, if you don't get anything, just overpay for every good bullpen guy you can get, including all the lefties. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not a bad strategy.
So, anyways, the bright spot about it is the difference between this year and last year. All we ever heard about was Ohtani. We didn't hear about anything else. Now, this year, at least to hear that they're jumping in there and they're trying to do the New York Yankees thing. That's what he's saying. Like last year, the Yankees missed the playoffs. They said, screw this. Went out there, threw all the money around, grabbed some guys, and let's get going. Because another thing that Jeff Passett said, makes me confident, but not...
Although what the Yankees did, they kind of went all in for Soto, and that...
And then a couple of their younger guys that developed... Oh, he might be going back to the Yankees, but my point is...
He's not. They're not going to pay him more than Judge, which is what he wants.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either. But my point about Passett is that, like I said, what I find it interesting is it's good to know that the Blue Jays are knocking on doors. They're taking...
It's the same story, though. I don't care if you're knocking on doors. It's about the results.
Okay, but last year we didn't hear anything about them. We never heard them trying to get anybody else. We didn't hear about trying to go get another starting pitcher. We didn't hear them start about getting a left-handed power bat that we were looking for. Did we hear any rumors about anything that they were talking about? We heard shit because we were getting Ohtani. Yeah. And we got a new baseball experience, and we run the Dome. Remember all that nonsense? Come on, stop it. I'm just saying.
The new baseball experience at the Dome is quite comfortable, though, I will say.
Okay, well, there you go. But now let's win. What's more comfortable than winning? I'm just saying.
Well, that's what puts the asses in the seats.
Thank you.
Which was my argument a couple weeks ago. I'm like, it doesn't matter if Soto is going to come. That's not going to draw 20,000 more people automatically. What's going to draw people back to the Dome is wins. 2015, people weren't automatically like, oh, my God, Josh Donaldson's like, no, Donaldson's awesome. He's getting us wins. That's what brought people back.
That's my point. So let's get back to my original premise, why the Jeff Passett freaking statement scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I don't like that statement either.
Because I'm hoping, he's naming off guys that the Blue Jays are freaking knocking at it. And I'm going, wow. And then he goes, and what if they do nothing? What if they fail? Because he's the one on the bandwagon that he was pointing out along the way about how the Jays had no plan B. Like they were right at the door at Ohtani. So as a lot of other people say, like we say if else that happens, the Toronto Blue Jays are very good at pushing up the price for a free agent. Is that their claim to fame? Yeah.
Oh, God, that pisses me off, man.
Of course it does. It drives us crazy. But the bottom line is another thing, we'll end it on this, is that everybody knows the Jays got the money.
But 1993, when they had the highest payroll in baseball, it seems like a far cry.
They've been top. They've been far. That's a good Rush song, by the way. They've been top 10.
Top 10 in payroll
for the last 10 years, and some of those years they've been top 5, especially those 2 playoff years with the Donaldson Batista years.
Sure,
we were top 5 that way. So we got the money. They're going to win, and I like your attitude where you're saying the number one thing to get you down for the baseball, a comfortable experience at the brand new Dome is W's.
Toronto's a show-me city.
W's.
Except with the Leafs.
Okay, we won't go there.
That's it for baseball?
That's it. It's Arizona. I just wanted to throw it in there that we're thinking about the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, come on, bro. You and I both know we're baseball guys. We're that was August. Remember our deepest fears in May was let's not have this. What did we get? It was worse. No,
last year was really bad.
Yeah, well, we were hoping we'd get me and my 5% increase. This year I only want 3%. Whoever you are.
I think 2% is a little bit more realistic. You should read the book, The Extra 2%.
Okay, I will.
I'll lend it to you. It's about how Tampa Bay turned their franchise around.
Mm. But did they win a World Series?
They made it to, well, hey, considering how baseball is, it's impressive that they've even made it to 2.
I'm going to put it this way. What do you think about Tampa Bay? Because the roof got ripped off the place that nobody goes to anyway during the hurricane.
Yeah.
They're going to go play at the George Steinbrenner place.
Yeah, no, the Yankees spring training facility.
Which they say blows Tropicana Field out of the water, even though it only holds, what, 15,000?
Well, that's all they draw anyways.
That's the joke around the league, you know what I mean?
It might be better.
I think it'll be cozier and more fun because it is a nice park. When you go down to spring training and you drive around to go to the park.
Probably in a better part of town, too.
Yeah, and they were saying that they, I've known people that have done it. They go down for spring training, and it's an hour drive, and you can get to, 4 training camp places. One of the stops I always say is the Yankee facility.
Yeah, one of my buddies went to Massimo. He visited the Dunedin one for the Jays and the Yankees one in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, because it's only, about an hour ride?
Yeah.
Whatever. And if you go the other way, I think it's 45 minutes. You get to the Philadelphia one there, too. So maybe that's something on our bucket list in the future.
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll keep this moving to our soccer report where Inter Miami lost it. Despite having the best season in MLS history, they lose in the first round of the MLS playoffs to Atlanta 2-1.
What do you think about that?
Too bad, so sad.
I'm telling you.
It's a bit of a joke.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All this hype, best season in history, you lose in the first round. This is like it's ridiculous.
Okay, well, I'm not even putting it from that perspective. I'm putting it because I'm glad I'm not going to see those pink jerseys anymore. I'm saying Messi, greatest player on the planet. What up with that? I like the color pink, and I don't mind a little pink and black, but something about those jerseys.
I don't mind them.
I don't know.
It's not like you watch MLS anyway, so stop it.
Here's my point then. This is worse for the league as a whole.
100%.
You know what I mean? The Apple subscriptions, everybody want to watch the game, and what do they got? Who's left? We don't even know. No, I'm just joking. But I'm just saying, this is a worst case scenario for MLS. Worst case scenario. And I think that Messi jumped on his plane, flew to Argentina, put up his feet, rolled the fatty, and said, let's watch American football. Because he has been cited at Dolphins games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but something like that. He's been cited at a Dolphin game or something like that.
Living the American experience.
Of course, that's just the way it is. So I'm not crying for the MLS. I've just heard that our beloved Toronto FC canceled a couple contracts, talking to a couple guys that seem more prominent than before, but this also sounds like Groundhog's Day, if you want to put it that way. So at least we know the Toronto FC is out there trying to improve their product.
Yeah, well, might be the last time we talk about MLS all year, unless TFC does something really big, obviously. But we'll move this to Premier League. So there's a few big matchups last weekend. Liverpool beat Aston Villa 2-0 at Liverpool. Aston Villa only one win in their last 5 matches, so they're starting to fall back a little bit. That was a team we had our eye on early on.
Liverpool is staying in there, though, because remember,
Liverpool looks like the power in European football right now.
Yes, that's what I mean. At the beginning of the season, they were like the Cleveland Cavaliers, I rate, in basketball when you think about it. Mm-hmm. Like they weren't. No one thought they were going to be this good, but everyone knew.
People knew they were going to be good,
but this good?
Yeah.
Wow, good for them.
Yeah, it looks like the repeat could be a repeat of, or at least what they were trying to go for a couple years ago. Manchester City fell again at Brighton, this time 2-1. Chelsea got the 1-1 draw versus Arsenal, and it basically looks like now that it's going to be Liverpool versus Manchester City for the title.
That'll be huge.
Yeah, we're not even a third of the way through, and Manchester City is only 5 games back, although they have lost a couple in a row. But I mean, like I said before, a lot of soccer left to be played.
Half a season, isn't it?
Yep.
Half a season to go.
Way more than half. We have over 2/3 left to play. They go until late May.
That's right. Yeah, because
I
forget about those breaks. Yeah.
It's like F1. They go on. The season's long.
Yeah.
It's very European, I guess, that way. Chelsea, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Fulham, Newcastle, Aston Villa, all kind of like the next tier. I don't think they quite have a shot at the title, but they're definitely going to be battling for those last couple Champions League spots. And I mean, a big shout out to Nottingham Forest, Brighton, and Fulham, these smaller teams.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 right now in the league. They should be very proud of what they've been able to accomplish so far.
We were talking about that at the pre-production meeting, how it's interesting how these clubs, like the little clubs, can hold it together. They don't have Man City money, but they're still getting there. Yep. I like it. Go for the little guy.
Your boy Haaland still,
or
Haaland, whatever, he's still number 1 in for goals right now in Premier League with 12. Moving over to City A.
Excuse me, would he be considered a diva?
Haaland?
Yeah.
I don't know too much about him
that
way personally, but.
Okay. I've seen him on a couple of interviews. He's an interesting cat. Okay.
We'll leave it at that. Fiorentina beat Hellas Verona 3-1. Moise Kean, the Italian, getting a hat trick in that match. That was really the only match I thought was really huge there in Serie A. But if you look at the table, the top 6 teams only 2 points apart. Napoli, Atalanta, Fiorentina, Inter Milan, Lazio, and Juve. 26 to 24 points separate is the amount of points that they have. So it's still anyone's game there in Serie A. It's been getting a lot of attention lately as the most competitive league in all of Europe right now.
I was just going to say I'd like to be at a cafe and somewhere in Milan or somewhere in Italy, and what the guys are talking about, because it's that tight. You know what I mean? Because it's like us talking about the Metro or our conference in hockey when it's that tight. I'd love to be there just for the soccer chat because it is so tight. Tightest been in years, eh?
Yeah, well, and I mean Atalanta and Fiorentina, each of them a perfect 5-0 in their last 5, so really moving their way up the table. Napoli still in first. They've stubbed their toe a little bit, a loss and a draw in their last couple matchups, but still anyone's game. My AC Milan falling back a little bit in 7th place. I'm just hoping that they could. Although they have a game in hand because their match against Bologna a couple weeks ago was postponed.
All right.
So hoping that they can pull their socks up a little bit, but obviously still a long way to go there. In the world of La Liga in Spain, Real Madrid beat Osasuna 4-0. Vinicius Jr. got a hat trick in that one, so our second of 2 hat tricks last weekend. But you look at the table, Barcelona is already starting to run away with it.
Easily.
They're 6 points ahead of Real Madrid, and they're 4-1, only 1 loss in their last 5 games.
Are they the best team in Europe right now? Club team?
Them or Liverpool.
Them or Liverpool, yeah. But we wouldn't have said that a month ago. We'd still say Barcelona, but putting Liverpool in the conversation is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think what I've saw and what I've been studying, Barcelona is just a train going down the track. They're rolling, and they got some big players on that team, man. Like big salaries on that team. Like, woo.
Well, it's Barcelona. They're like any given year, they're top 3 most valuable soccer teams, maybe even sports team on the planet.
Oh no, they're every time I see top 5 in Forbes, they're up there.
Them, Real Madrid, Manchester United.
And the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
How that happens, I don't know, but we'll get to that later.
In the world of Bundesliga in Germany, it is Bayern Munich still on top. We're about a third of the way there. They play a lot less games. They are undefeated in their last 5. RB Leipzig stubbed their toe a little bit. They've fallen back. They have a loss and a draw in their last 5, so they're now 5 points behind. If Bayern wins Bundesliga, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised.
Are they a big international team?
Bayern Munich?
Yeah,
absolutely.
They have to be. You know why I've noticed? Because I've noticed that, when they flash onto the crowd, when something goes into the crowd, I've noticed Bayern Munich jerseys in places and at basketball games and at a hockey game.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, so they are. That's what I see. Because if I see some of these other guys like Ronaldo or those type of jerseys like that, but I noticed the color and I said, hey, that's that Bayern Munich guys or whatever they are. But I've noticed them a couple times especially in the NBA. I've seen like people in the crowd and they're wearing those uniforms.
Yep.
And I've seen them at football games too. People wearing
not just the ones in Germany.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that later.
And moving over to Ligue 1 in France, PSG, one of the most predictable things in the world. They're on top by 6 points over Monaco, undefeated in their last 5. Monaco, 2 losses and a draw in their last 5, so they've fallen back a little bit. Shouldn't be any surprise there. Although, I guess shout out to our boy Jonathan David sitting 3rd in the goals
Big
lead.
shout out.
Although it sounds like him and Alphonso Davies could be on the move in the January transfer window.
Yeah, it's money. I'd wear a PSG uniform.
I'm sorry for you then.
I like the way they look. I like their uniforms. They're old school. I like their uniforms. I don't like their home and away. I like that. Their color setting, it's kind of cool. I'm not saying I necessarily like the team because I don't know enough about them, but I like the uniforms.
They have trouble on the big stage, I'll put it that way.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that. They have their issues. Champions League, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Moving it over so it's international break right now. So in Europe, they're in their Nations League. Italy got the 1-0 draw, or 1-0 victory, rather, in Belgium. And they will play France in Italy. That game's tomorrow. That'll decide who is first in their group. So, but Italy and France are already guaranteed to go to the quarterfinal of that one. So I will wish my Azzurri the best of luck.
There you go. Doesn't Canada have an international coming up against Jamaica?
No. So that was the states that played Jamaica. Okay. Canada is in Nations League finals for CONCACAF and quarterfinals. They played yesterday at Suriname. Do you know?
No.
Okay, well, either way, they won 1-0 there,
yes.
And they played the second leg of that doubleheader Tuesday in Canada. I'm not sure where that match is, though.
I think it's Edmonton.
No, it's at BMO. It's here, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's here. So, I mean, Canada should win that again and head to the semifinals of that one.
So that game's coming up in the next 10 days, right?
Tuesday.
That's going to be cold. Cool.
That's our home field advantage, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh, I always got to mention our Canadian team. We spend enough time in Europe. We'll just shout them, even though they're down the level, so to speak.
Yeah, so I'm going to see who they are playing.
It's good, though, that our national program, we give it a little bit of light of day because we're 2 years away from, less than 2 years away, 18 months away from World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder what kind of fiasco that's going to be in the city.
You think Taylor Swift is crazy?
That's what I was alluding to. Like, what's going to be if that's Taylor Swift's coming into town? What about World Cup?
Yeah,
always great for the city, and apparently we've been great hosts. Like, there's people from all over the world in the city right now just saying, "What a city Toronto is." Everyone's polite.
There we go.
I like that.
So I think that will do it for us for soccer. We'll move us over to the NBA, where ratings are down, sir.
NBA. what is it? National Bitches Association
Something
or whatever like that. I got a lot of things to say about frickin' the NBA right now, okay? First of all, we know why the ratings are down. I'm going to tell you right now. I've watched a lot. Now, we're only in 12 games. The sample size is very, very small.
But.
And you know what comes after but. Anyways, there's just too many threes being tossed around in the NBA right now.
Ain't pretty.
53 threes thrown up when Milwaukee beat, Detroit in overtime? 53 threes. So one of my theories is, and I'm going to keep an eye on this, is the best rebounding teams in the league will be at the top of the standings when it's all said and done. Because if you can't rebound in this day and age, we got issues. Number 2 is you're allowed to take a mid-range shot, and sometimes you're allowed to go into the paint and get dirty and win a game. Exhibit A. The New York Knicks were down 22 points to the Chicago Bulls at Madison Square Gardens. And you know that they're a hot team right now. They're a hot commodity in New York City. All the celebrities were out to see the game. They came back from a 22-point deficit. Did they score a few threes? Yes. But how did they do it? Old school defense and banging in the paint. Okay, they tie the game. What do they revert to? 18 seconds in the shot clock. Let's fire up a three. 16 seconds. Clanged them both. Chicago came down, stole the game in overtime. I thought the Knicks deserved to lose because you played old school basketball to get back in the game, which was very exciting, by the way, especially the crowd. You can hear Madison Square Garden going on. But to revert to doing the same thing everybody else is doing, it drives me absolutely crazy. Number 2 is the amount of injuries in this league at this point in time is really, really affecting the product. For example, the Suns were playing who the other night? Suns are playing OKC. At this point in the year, this is going to be a great game. Oh, by the way, Kevin Durant on the injury list. Devin Booker on the injury list. Beasley on the injury list. And then we get that sorry-ass excuse for a guy that said, I wanted to play the second game. Let's have the Joel Embiid experience of his first game of the year. You know what? Mike Tyson was moving faster than him in that fight last night. Think about it. Did you see Embiid out there? Buddy, go do some cardio. Do some shit. Now, let's not say one thing here. Joel Embiid is a top 10, maybe top 5 player in this league. You're getting paid how much to do what you're doing after all you've said and done in the last month? Buddy, that's why the ratings are down in the NBA. People don't want to deal with that shit. They want to hear about your bullshit. You're making $50 million a year. Tell that to the blue-collar worker working on the dock in Pennsylvania. Shut up, buddy. Play basketball. Add it all up. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. It's, we've seen these troubles kind of like bubbling underneath the surface. I guess it was just a matter of when the straw was finally going to break the camel's back.
Okay, so then they have some weird shit going on, like they celebrate all these 50, 60 scoring games, okay? Wemby scored 50 the other night. He's going to be the other reason I say he's wrecking basketball. Steph Curry's already done part 1. But we'll get to that in a second.
That's an unfair argument.
Okay, but I'll give you my take on it in a second because my respect for Steph Curry has been leaping a lot lately. But the point is...
So I guess you'll finally turn around on Wemby in 10, 15 years then.
He's going to be one of the greats of all time.
Agreed.
Okay, but he never even got near Anthony Davis last night when they played against...
Because they know that he'll get killed. They got to think development, too.
Okay,
How old is he, 19?
He's turning 20. That's not my point. You're 7 foot something. What's his name? Edie. Edie. He's in the paint way more than I see.
He's older, though.
I don't give a shit.
Well, you got to think development crews. I don't want these guys to get destroyed right away.
Okay, so you score 60 points.
I want to see Wemby put on a little bit of weight before he's bad. Banging and crashing in the paint a little bit more.
They lost the game last night because they clanked somebody and they had nobody down there to fight for a rebound. If you're 7 foot tall, don't you have to go for a rebound once in a while? Where is he? Hanging around the perimeter, waiting for his Uber. Come on, wait a second. I love the guy. He's a great player. Don't get me out. But I see him out there firing threes, and he can make a three. Sometimes you got to get dirty to win the game. That's what I'm saying. The ratings are down. What do you want, a 7 foot guy sitting on the?
Well, it's also his second year in the league.
I don't care. The other extreme is this. And you look at the two of them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's on the court all the time because he's a great player. John Morant's on the court Not all the time because he's a great player, but what's the difference between them two? Ja plays a little bit more reckless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hence the reason he's going to have to slow that down in his game because he's back on the injury list. You know what I mean? So when you look around the league, some of these teams and what they're doing is they don't even play half the time with their full arsenal. They're playing with part-time guys who are learning to lose. And then you see something like Isaiah Stewart grabbing Giannis by the shirt and pulling him down on the ground. Okay, he got a flagrant 2 and get kicked out.
Yeah.
If that was a hockey game, I would have punched the guy out. Like, that guy's completely helpless in the air.
Well, okay, you can't punch a guy in the NBA or else you get kicked out, though.
Okay, I know that. But I'm saying that was one of those times, like, and I'm a Detroit Piston guy. And I was looking and I'm going, he just yanked. You seen the play, didn't you? Come on.
No, that's not cool.
And you want to see that's the kind of shit that we're seeing out there all the time. Now, if we want to look on the positives that are going on, I think it was absolutely amazing the response that Klay Thompson got when he went back to San Francisco the other night. That was an absolutely amazing performance to respect the guy that helped bring 4 rings to your team. But what ended up in that game? They got Steph Curry'd at the end. It was amazing. They were down by 5 with 2 minutes left? Curry scored the last 14 points. Put the game away.
I can't believe what the Warriors are doing.
That's why I have to shut up. Here's the good, bad, the ugly about Steph Curry. I'm not the only one. Shaq says it all the time. Steph Curry ruined basketball. It's not because Steph Curry, because he's one of the greatest. He's top 10 now. I can't deny it.
It's the copycat thing.
Yes, it drives you crazy.
Everyone's trying to be Steph Curry. It's like, no, you're you. There's only one Steph Curry.
Thank you very much, and that's what's ruining the game. Kids are shooting, high school kids are shooting from the parking lot because they want to be Steph Curry.
I told you see it a little bit at Humber, too, where guys are jacking up threes they just should not. The game I called last weekend, who were they playing? Niagara. They were 1 for 25, 1 for 30 from 3. It's like, why are you guys still putting it up?
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand that. And when the games get sloppy, is if a team goes on like a 14-2 run, and Boston's the worst at this because they shoot so many threes, but their percentage is higher than most. But when they have an off night,
they do it better in the flow of the game, I think, too.
Oh yeah, in rhythm shots is better, of course, but. The bottom line is sometimes when these teams that are not the Boston Celtics try to catch up like a Sacramento and they clang those 8 threes and the other team goes down and scores, suddenly you got a score where there's 20-point difference. You're not interested in the game anymore. Nobody's fighting for the point. They think, well, we could just sink these threes. Stop it.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
No, and it hasn't been, and that's why the ratings are down. And then when you look at the switch of players on some teams, you look some of the teams that we said that were going to be contenders, it's only 12 or 13 games, but there's a lot of chemistry problems. Look at Dallas's record. Look at the Knicks' record. Now, I'm still on the Denver bandwagon. I said to them that they would turn around. Now, their first 5 or 6 games, they were pretty ugly. But
they're starting to pull it back together.
They're pulling it way back together, and I'm just saying that. They're a team that's going to be there, but we're only going through 12 games. But part of the reason that Denver's success is all their players are back from injury. They played together before, and now they're figuring it out in the way they go. Another thing we cannot underestimate now, for all you people that are Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Have you seen LeBron play basketball in the last month? Nobody's done what LeBron's done at that age at all. He's had 3 triple-doubles. He won the game against San Antonio last night with, of course, his sidekick, Anthony Davis, which is LeBron's supposed to be the sidekick now. But how can you not just say, no more, if you hate
Davis is getting more of the offensive load, I guess you should say.
Yeah, but do you see LeBron's game? At his
his numbers are tremendous.
And his defensive presence is a little bit higher. Maybe
he's always been a good defender.
When he wants. Maybe the J.J. Redick thing is kind of working because the guys that are coming off the bench all know their roles, which gets you back to you know your roles, and we have to stop talking about what a great coach that Steve Kerr is, because all those players like Kuminga, Buddy Hield, Wiggins, the kids, the new 2 kids that they got lucky in the draft are all developing. They know their place. They follow Steph Curry. Biggest surprise in the NBA, bar none, is the Golden State Warriors. What's their record now? 10-2?
10-2.
10-2. That's unbelievable. What's Dallas's record? 6-5?
5-7.
Okay, 5-7. What's the Knicks' record?
6-6.
Okay, what's Philadelphia's record?
They are 2-10.
That's a long way to come back.
They're the most disappointing team by far.
Oh, they're the most pathetic operation going on right now. And Tyrese Maxey's on the bench, and they had the back-to-back, and the next day, Joel Embiid said, I wanted to play. The organization didn't want me to play. Well, that's just telling you we're getting consumer fraud from some of these organizations because all these people that are paying for these games, and you know the guys aren't going to play. Injuries are part of it, but this load management thing is just bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, especially when the teams are just hurting themselves. It's just like, what are you going to do here, buddy?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So another thing is when I was talking about the chemistries of teams, one of my picks in our preview, and I'm very proud of that right now, and it's still a small sample size, is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes, 14-0 to start the season, and just 7-0 at home, 7-0 on the road. A nice plus 12.2 point differential.
Oh, yeah. Now, let's talk about that team. Mobley, Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, Garland, all of these guys have been playing together now for a few years, and they're all healthy. Pray that they stay the same. Mm-hmm. Their chemistry is obviously there. That's why they've been shot at the cannon the way they are, and they have a new coach that's changed the system and maybe give the uptick that a new coach is supposed to give.
Yeah, we're kind of questioning their coach change last year, but I mean, you can't argue with the results, at least early on, can you?
No, 12-0, and they play defense.
14-0.
14-0, and they play defense. And, you know, and with the big guys, nothing against Wemby again, but when shit starts getting crazy, you see Jared Allen and you see, what's his name, off the bench, and Cleveland's deep. They got LeVert coming off the bench. Who else? They got 3 or 4 guys, and then they got Tristan Thomas sitting around for Thompson minutes. Which gets me to another question about the NBA, which I don't understand, okay? We talk about load management, and you're playing your players, and you don't want to just beat the hell out of them, right? I seen the Celtics up by 20. I seen OKC up by 15. I seen, was it Denver up by 20? Less than 5 minutes. Why are these guys on the floor? If you're going to talk about saving your players and shit, why is Jason Tatum on the floor? Okay, he went out. He went out at 2:51. Jaylen Brown went out at 2:30. They're winning by 18 freaking points. If you don't want to run your players in the ground.
Well, we mentioned this. That being up by 18, that's not really a safe lead in the NBA anymore. Up by 25 is kind of like the magic number now.
3 minutes left, bro. Less than 5 minutes. You're winning by 5 minutes. You're up by anything over 15 points. Get on the reserves.
No, I don't believe that.
Oh,
But with the guys shooting threes, that can snowball quickly.
Okay.
We said last year, leads under 25 are no longer safe in the NBA.
3 minutes.
That's still a lot of time.
5 minutes. If you're going to get the ball back and you just dribble around, you can kill
I would err on the side of caution if I was a coach.
I'm saying that if you're telling me you're trying to save your players because you're not beating them into the ground, what the hell are they doing out there in the last 5 minutes of the game when they're winning by 18 or 20?
You want to get the win. You want to secure the win.
The win is already there.
No, it's not. The win's not there until the buzzer hits 0. The clock hits 0.
Well, we're going to have a difference of opinion on this because if you tell me about load management and you're trying to say player safety, one of your favorite subjects, I'm going, no, man, that guy shouldn't be on the floor. Go sit him down. You know what I mean? Like because those are still tough minutes because the other team's coming at you like 10 men. Let them lose their energy. Let them burn themselves out. You're winning by 20.
But that's a double-edged sword there because, like, if they come back, start sinking threes, like, all of a sudden, like, oh, shit. They're back in this game. We got to put their starters back into the game anyways.
Okay, if they get down to 10. Okay, put them back out. If they get down to 10, they should be able to hold it by that.
I don't even want it to get that close.
I'm telling you that...
Why give the other team a chance?
I'm not giving the team a chance. I'm saying if you're good
enough... Yes, you are if you're taking your starters out.
With 3 minutes left, winning by 20.
I'm not taking them out until there's like a minute left.
Wow. Then I'm just...
Maybe a minute and a half if we're up by 25. But.
Wow. Are you Thibodeau? Is that who you are? Are you Thibodeau? Let's just wear him down so Novi's knees will be bone on bone by April. Come on. You can't tell me this and then tell me that. I've noticed in a bunch of games...
We're talking about the difference between like a minute and a half.
They're still rugged minutes. You take 5 minutes off every game.
I want to get the win.
You got the win.
No, you don't.
Then you suck. You can't play D. You can't take it home.
Well,
come on.
Okay, but that's why I want to keep my starters on. I want to guarantee it. That's who you live and die by.
Okay, I understand that. But you've now built me a 20-point lead. Go sit down. There's only 3 minutes left.
No.
Okay. I whatever the case may be, I'm going to say that because what I think what happens is
especially if the other team's coming at me hard.
Well, I think it's more of this: keep me on the floor so I can get my 20-point streak going in a row. Oh, my contract says I get
stat
this.
padding.
That's what I blame it on. Those guys don't want to come out because.
Well, that's a problem too, because like you have money now linked to like achievements and awards, and I think that's a little messed up.
Well, add it all up. I'm going with the Cruises chaos about this. Sit your ass down. I don't care about your numbers. I want the W, and I want you to be fresh. So maybe I want a little bit of everything, but I'm saying when you're up by that many points, I see these guys out there, and I go, what? Tatum is out there. They're up by 22, and he's shooting a 3 with 18 seconds on the fucking shot clock. I'm going, buddy, why don't you just dribble those 18 seconds away? Do it 4 times.
I agree with you there.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And I'm watching this, and I'm going, oh, I wonder why the ratings are down. I flicked the channel. Enough of this shit. Game's over anyway. And then you know what I did? I'm such a freaking geek about this shit now. Then I run to other games and look at the score and start looking, who's on the floor? Why is Donovan Mitchell on the floor? This game's over. Now, Cleveland's had to battle a couple of games late because people are coming really at Cleveland. So they had their freaking full unit out when Chicago came down and almost beat them, and they went in overtime. And then what did they do 2 nights later when they played Chicago? Bitch slapped them. Yeah. Because, people are coming at Cleveland now. They're 14-0.
Sure.
So
they're on top of the hill.
So since the ratings aren't where they're supposed to be, let's fool all the NBA fans into believing they're getting something special because we got the NBA Emirates Gold Cup games going on where they put out those Lego floors. Nothing against Lego.
I like the Raptors floor, though, this year.
One of the only ones I like. The rest of them, I'm going, come on. Who's doing this designing on this shit? That's hard on my eyes. I got to go get sunglasses sometimes to watch a goddamn game. I'm in the basement. What the hell's going on here? Look at this shit. You know what I mean? And some of these tacky uniforms are going to start adding them with them. I just hope the Raptors stay more purple than anything else. But are you excited about this whole cup thing?
Oh, I told you, I think we talked about this last year. I don't like the way how it's organized. I don't like how it's like their regular season games, too. It doesn't seem like enough games. How I would do it, I think the regular season, if you want to do this midseason tournament, regular season 62 games.
Okay.
And then you have the NBA Cup outside of the regular season.
Okay, I'm good with that, too. As a matter of fact, I'm an advocate of cutting them games down in every league. You know that, except for the NFL.
Yeah.
But
and then I would have the group stage where it's like you have a home and away against every team in your group.
And then away you go. We call it a day. And it gets spread out long enough and they'd still get their money. Because I still believe this. Part of the reason that the NBA ratings are down is you got a lot of other shit going on. And traditionally, you never used to see basketball till American Thanksgiving. American Thanksgiving's still what? 2 weeks away?
A couple weeks away,
almost weeks away, and they've already played 12 games. So what you're doing, you're congesting the schedule and competing against leagues like the NFL, who's already kicking the shit out of you on Christmas now anyway.
Yeah, there's a doubleheader on Christmas coming up.
Okay, so what my take on the matter is this. NBA, couldn't you be smarter about your marketing? Now, they're really...
I think they know they're kind of fucked up until football's done anyways. That's just the way it is.
That's why they're doing
it. But the NFL their season just keeps getting longer and longer, especially when we get to 18 games, maybe another bye week.
Here we go.
There we go.
We'll take away a preseason game. We'll get to that. And Martin Luther King Day will become Super Bowl
Day. Well, the preseason
like
should just be 2 games for the NFL.
Okay, maybe like in college. But in any event, I'm going to tell you this. When you're watching the games and you see those funky floors, listen to how many times the announcers remind you they're playing for the Golden Cup. There must be a rule coming from Adam Silver.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some sort of mandate.
There's mandate. Keep saying.
Although the floor should be enough to tell you. If you're even a bit of an NBA guy or a little bit about basketball, it should just trigger that automatically now. You know what's up.
Okay, well that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to con you into getting something special. You just got a funky ass floor and most of them look like shit. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to draw eyeballs to the game. Now I'm going to be a professional hypocrite right now. When that game's going on Saturday night for the finals of the Gold Cup or whatever you call it, I'll probably end up watching the game.
Last year's was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's the semifinals and the finals
they were
pretty
both good.
So that's where they'll get their ratings bump. I really like your idea about taking it out, taking the cup out in the middle and playing less games. Because
why having it part of the regular season, I think, is a little bit it's a little wishy-washy.
Well, it's always talking about what you're going to lose on a revenue basis, and I'm saying if you did this cup the way that you're talking about it, you probably get some better rate rankings because you know what it's going to be for. But what is the value of that in the middle of the season? You're playing for the Larry O'Brien, aren't you?
I mean, soccer has it though, where you have multiple competitions going on mid-season.
Does this look like Europe to you?
I didn't say it was.
Okay,
but why can't we just take that and borrow from it?
I'm just saying it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick to try to draw fans because the competition.
I get that, but if it's entertaining and people like it, then what's the problem?
So what's going to happen now is that Phoenix will not even get a sniff at the Gold Cup because at the time that they get all their guys back
they're
playing,
1-1, so they're still hanging in there.
But their next two, they only play 4, right?
Yeah.
Only play 4. So anyway, I think the next 2 games on the guy was saying it the other night.
Lakers and Thunder.
And I don't think.
Lakers and either the Jazz or the Spurs.
In any event, their full arsenal won't be back on it. So what good is those games now anyway? So Wemby beats the shit out of him, goes to the finals. He didn't play against anybody that was on they were all on the injured list or on load management or some bullshit. And then you're going to tell me you're giving me a better product? This is consumer fraud. I'm going to start talking to my Better Business Bureau. The NBA's
I think it's they play Lakers and Spurs. Yeah. So they got to beat the Lakers.
Okay, but the bottom line is those guys aren't like they're all out for the next 2 weeks. So, and when is the Cup end? It's first week of December? Mm-hmm. Or last Saturday?
They play the Lakers Tuesday, November 26th.
And what's the final on the Gold Cup? December 10th?
Something like that in Vegas.
Okay, so whatever the case may be, hopefully they'll get back for a game. But I'm just saying, I understand it from, like you always say, from an eyeball point of view and people putting the seats in the fans. Because the Pistons played the Raptors last night and it was a Cup game, do you think a whole bunch more people ran to the game?
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying. But
it's also early on, though, so you got to build up the reputation.
So it's a regular season game. That's my whole point. Yeah. I just think the NBA does, for anything they do good, they just do things that are weird. They're a little bit gimmicky. The season's too long, too many injuries, load management. Thank God Steph Curry, who ruined basketball, is still one of the 10 greatest basketball players of all time, bar none.
Yeah. And I mean, the Raptors already out of it in the NBA Cup, losing to Milwaukee, losing to Detroit last night.
Yep.
Can they finish above 200 this year?
Well, here's a problem with the Raptors, too. They haven't had their full lineup going. Scotty Barnes has been out. Emmanuel Quickley's been out. Some of the kids...
They're dead last in the league.
With Philadelphia?
Nope. We're dead last.
Oh, we're dead last now,
They're
right?
2-10. We're 2-11.
Okay, so here's the deal with the Raptors. Look at last night. That was a dogfight. They couldn't pull it out in the end. But what if they had Quickley and Barnes out there for those last 5 minutes? Maybe things were a little bit different.
Maybe.
I'm going to give the Raptors the benefit of a doubt.
The good thing is that the East really sucks.
Yes, it's all getting pushed together. You know what I mean?
The last play-in is only at 5 wins. But, I mean, these losses racking up quickly. That's not a good thing.
Of course it isn't. But we're going to have a big shout-out to the Argos, buddy. Yes. The proprietors in the house. We like the progression we're seeing. We're telling the people on our establishment. We're liking that progression. Shoeys will be alive and well before you know it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Serge, but we're still looking for our first line. Just thought I'd let you know that.
Yeah. So back to the Raptors. So Grady Dick's really been the only bright spot.
Thank you very much. And what did I say before the season?
Yeah.
I got a bunch.
After you dragged his dick through the dirt last year.
Because he was skinny and didn't know what he was doing. But I said if he learns to do it.
No, you hated him because he was in commercials.
Not I hated him.
You brought up, you were talking a lot of shit.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I didn't like. Okay, I'm going to try to do this as diplomatically as I possibly can. But it just seemed to be certain characters that come into Toronto get all the press for all the wrong reasons. Now I'm glad he's getting his flowers. I think you should have to earn them. That's my point. So I'm the first one that said, in our preview, I said Graydon Dick could be one of our most improved players after all I've said and done.
Agreed.
And look at him. He is one of our... bright spots of the Toronto Raptors. So my point being is, let's get away from that other shit because it's not earned. You know what I mean? I'll put it the other way, okay? If you want to look at it from this whole endorsement money on the side, how do you get it? Look at the Baker Mayfield situation. He had some of the greatest commercials we've ever seen. All of a sudden, his star went left. Do you see any Baker Mayfield commercials lately?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
I know, and he's playing his best ball.
That's the irony of the whole situation. That was my little bit of a bitch about Graydon Dick. That's, if you can put it into perspective, what I'm saying. I still respect him as a player. I think he's a great shooter. Obviously, he went to McDonald's a lot over the winter because that ain't the toothpick that we seen out of the court last year.
Went to the steakhouse a little bit.
Oh, definitely. A lot of fries. Poutine. Yeah. Maybe he learned about poutine.
No, poutine's gross, but...
I don't eat that stuff. You
just feel like a big bag of crap after.
I do not eat that. I've never got the
Don't even do it.
No,
it's awful.
I stay away from there.
A few interesting things I noticed in the league are a few Jekyll and Hyde teams. So the Orlando Magic, tremendous at home, awful on the road. Same with the LA Lakers. So the Magic, 7-0 at home, 1-6 on the road.
But they're missing their big guy lately.
It doesn't matter.
But it's an interesting.
And then the
stat.
Lakers, 6-0 at home, 2-4 on the road.
Mm-hmm. And one of their road wins was where?
It was here, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, and I think the other one was Detroit. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Lakers aren't as great as everyone thinks they are.
And the Celtics, big road warriors, too, 7-1 away from TD.
Those guys, you know what? I think they're going to repeat.
I think so, too.
I don't like them. I hate them. I hope they rot in hell. But the point being is they're so good at what they're doing that how can you say no?
There's a big heater in the front. In the front door, there's 2 big heaters. You can come and plug it into there. Oh. And use it. You want me to bring it here now?
Nah, well, it's okay.
We'll know that in the future. We'll know that. 2 big things. No, because we won't be here long enough. That show's getting to the end, but we'll.
Yeah, but you plug it into that, and there's a switch on the back. It's too big, and it'll heat up.
Okay.
Okay.
If you open the front door, there's 2 big ones.
We're talking about the resurgence of shoeies once again, which we like to keep on the forefront of our show at all times, correct?
Absolutely.
There you go. But in any event, I'm finding that my biggest thing about these clusterfucks in the standings in the NBA has a lot to do with people adjusting their lineup. Look at Minnesota. I thought Minnesota would be better, but they're having trouble working in. I think DiVincenzo's been kind of a weird, more glue piece than Randall because Randall's playing too much iso ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas
I still stand by he's going to be used as a trade chip.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The cat's going to work out in New York, but he's another guy, big guy who forgets, and he's got to start shooting threes too. But he's got a decent percentage.
That's always been a little bit of his problem, though.
Because he can't figure out when he should go to the net and can he shoot. He's had good numbers, though. His numbers are good. But the Knicks kind of get away from their tough Thibodeau defense team, and they all start getting into that. I can shoot more threes than you. It's not the Knicks game.
No.
You know what I mean? And that they're going to lose. So the standings are funny.
They're very funny right now. Unfortunately, your boy Chet Holmgren broke his pelvis.
Oh.
So he's going to be out a long time with that one.
And not only that, what effect is, and like OKC is a good team. But
very good.
Okay, but are they now considered the contenders that they were without Holmgren? I can't see it when push comes to shove. The team that I'm saying that you look out for, and they're slowly
8 to 10 weeks he's going to be out.
That's 10 weeks is the evaluation. That's
true.
They're going to evaluate him after 10 weeks because what do you got to do? You just got to hope he's young and he's healing. That's the way that they're looking at it. But you look at another team like Memphis is the same thing. Memphis was supposed to be look out for them this year. They're getting everybody back. They just got Desmond Baines back, but they're missing half their guys. Haven't played on a full thing too. So
it's been a big pattern in the NBA. One last thing before we really move on here. Wemby, big shout out to him. 50 points versus Washington on Wednesday.
With 6 rebounds. And did they win the game? Because 6 rebounds. 6 rebounds. Wemby, you're great, but you hang around that perimeter way
You'll watch once he puts on some weight.
Okay, well, we're going to see. Is there anything else I missed here that I wanted to bring up? No, we pretty well got that.
We'll move this over to the league that the NBA shares most of its buildings with, the NHL. So, first of all, a big shout out to the Hall of Fame. Had their ceremonies on Monday. Of course, Pavel Datsyuk was leading that class.
Anyways, I didn't mean
Colin Campbell, Natalie Darwitz, David Poyle, Jeremy Roenick, Shea Weber, and Chrissy Wendell.
Didn't Granato? Oh, no, she's already been in there.
Yeah.
Okay. In any event, I thought it was a stellar class. Like if you look at any of those guys, including the Builders, those are huge people in the history of hockey. Yep. I think they are all deserved to be there. I just forgot it's only 3 years and you're eligible for the thing.
That's the way it's always been.
Yep, I keep forgetting that. In any event, I thought it was a great ceremony. Jeremy Roenick was a personality that he was, but at times he was extremely humble. And you don't usually put humble and Roenick in the same sentence.
No.
He was extremely humble, and that just tells you about the man that he is. Shea Weber, class all the way. I like the fact that Datsyuk remembered all the people that got him there and all the old Detroit guys. That's just really a stellar class. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And before we get on there, I heard they changed some of the people in the old boys club.
But they won't tell you who's in and who's out.
Okay. Did you notice that too? Okay, because I was well, who's in? Well,
no one knows how the Hockey Hall of Fame voting works.
Okay, so that's why we got to get back to giving it credibility. So I'm going to say something that I heard this week, and I told you immediately, like, stop it. Shut up. I don't want to hear this bullshit anymore because it's nuts. Everybody knows that in his day, for the Montreal Canadiens, nobody was a bigger fan of PK Subban than me. I just want to tell you about credibility about the Hall of Fame. Sorry, PK, you're not a Hall of Famer.
No, he's not getting in.
Well, anyway, sometimes when I hear the scuttlebutt, especially on the network you never watch, and maybe it's good for you, the NHL Network, when they were
what do those guys know, though?
They can't be knowing because PK Subban is not a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? Like, get away from that talk. I think it's just content for people to say that the shows are too long. I don't know. But when you look at this class now, you're talking Shea Weber.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the most stellar defensemen, played for Team Canada, dragged Montreal Canadiens to a final. We don't have to say. Roenick, you know what I mean? This Roenick took a few years to get in, didn't he?
Yeah, I was starting to think it wouldn't happen.
But look at his numbers and look at his accomplishments. I think that Roenick is a deserved. In his prime, I wanted him on my team. He was a top 10 scorer, 4 or 5 times?
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, he scored 500 goals. You know what I mean? So, like,
he had a couple 50-goal seasons.
Had a couple 50-goal seasons. Made it to the finals, never won.
Yeah.
Okay, so, like I'm saying, look at the resume. And I think that the resumes in the NHL, you guys on old boys clubs that are sitting there, give them some finer tuning because I don't want no more Clark Gillies getting into the Hall of Fame.
Next year is going to be...
tough.
Someone's going to have to miss from who's eligible next year because we got Zdeno Chara, Ryan Getzlaf, Duncan Keith, Carey Price, Joe Thornton, all first-time eligible, and I believe only 4 of them are going to be able to get in.
I wonder which one is going to get missed out because they'll get there the second year. Thornton?
I suspect so just because of the cup. Him or Getzlaf.
Yeah, because Price has got to go in right away.
Price, Keith, Chara seem like automatics.
Oh, yeah. Chara's a gimme. Chara and Price. And Duncan Keith, yeah,
He's got all the hardware.
Yeah, a great player in his time, too. So, yeah, like, he'd be there. It'll be interesting. We'll take note of that.
There's a long time, like, I would have told you Duncan Keith was the number 1 D in the league.
All around.
Yeah.
All around. Oh, I agreed. I mean, Chicago didn't win those Stanley Cups with nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean? He was solid back there playing, 26, 28 minutes a game?
Yeah, like almost half an hour a night, basically.
Yeah. This guy was unbelievable. Great shot. He always shot that shot low, like he was one of those 9-iron guys.
Yeah,
I like that.
Norris, Conn Smythe, 2 Olympic gold medals.
Yeah, that's what I say. He won't be skipped.
No, he will not.
He will not be skipped. That's for sure.
And we will not skip the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was a bit of a weird week for them, so they beat Montreal 4-1 at home. The big boys all played well that night, including Wall. On the flip side, Montreal, it's starting to look like...
Okay, we're not going to talk about them right now. This is a Leafs report, right?
Okay,
we'll get to the Habs.
We'll get to the Habs
We'll
later.
get to the Habs. Kick me already.
The Leafs took... I'm not kicking you. I'm kicking the Habs. There's a difference. Leafs lost 3-0 to Ottawa on Tuesday. That one just like... Did anyone show up to that game?
Okay, we're going to get to that in a minute because then the very next night they had the grittiest win of the year.
Big bounce back in Washington, down 3-1 with 4.5 minutes left to go. I think it was 4:10 actually left to go. Find a couple goals, tie it up, send it to OT. John Tavares with the OT winner in Oliver Ekman-Larsson's 1,000th NHL game.
I was kind of like, yeah, okay, no. I'm going to retract something I said in pre-production. Congratulations to this guy for 1,000 games in the NHL.
He's had a tremendous career. Had to start with the Coyotes.
Yes.
Was a big part of them going to the 2012 conference finals.
Yeah.
Coached by Dave Tippett. They lost to the eventual champion LA Kings. Played with Vancouver for a little bit. Didn't go the best there, but took his talents over to Florida where he was a big contributor.
He's got a ring.
Thank you. Big contributor for that Stanley Cup victory that they had last year.
Oh, excuse me.
And he was captain of the Coyotes, too, for a while.
That's true, too, Serge. I forget the name of that white beer in that can last week was very good because I hate, you know me, I'm very picky about my beer. That was good beer. I forget the name of it. Anyway, we like beer here anyway.
Love beer.
What's that?
We love beer. We're looking for a beer sponsorship.
That's coming very soon. Now, what were you saying? I lost my train of... Oh, Toronto.
And Ekman-Larsson.
The guy's great.
Once I get the stage here, I'm making a professional booth.
Oh, yeah.
On the stage,
Oh, yeah.
in the drawings,
Yeah.
and we're going to have sponsorships coming.
Here we go.
But we're going to keep it all down.
We're keeping it on the low.
Okay.
We're just saying Shoeys is going to rise from the ashes.
Helping us.
Yeah.
You know these are hot mics, right?
Yeah, so we'll keep these down right now. We'll keep it under our hat. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, there. We're going to talk about our Habs in a minute, but in any event, I thought it was a Jekyll and Hyde for Toronto all week. I'm going to give him this, and Serge will probably back me on this. The reason they lost the game to Ottawa was what was going on Monday night.
The Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame. The parties in this city on Monday night were next to... Nobody was having parties like these guys. And you don't think that NHL players like to go out and have a few beers? Stop it. So what happened was all the Leafs were involved. Like, look who was in town. You get to rub shoulders with who? The who's who. Yeah. Okay, so you're going to be invited to these like parties I'm never going to get in the door to, and they're all over the city, and they're sponsored by like Matt Sundin and all of these guys. Now, oh, by the way, speaking about the difference between a Matt Sundin and a Peter Forsberg, the other day, Peter Forsberg had an interview with Mr. Hayes, and they were talking about it. Came up about the celebrations, the difference between a national team and winning a championship in the NHL. And Hayes said, oh, what about the parties? What about the parties? He must have had some great one there. And he goes, no, you got to ask Matt Sundin about the parties. Just saying. He said that right on. Oh, got to ask Matt about the parties. That's enough. Okay, because I know your mom's a big Matt Sundin fan, so I will.
Well, so what? He throws a great party. I don't get how that's a negative.
There will not be any Matt Sundin talk on the date today. Taylor Swift.
Oh, well, it's funny because since you already brought him up.
I'm just saying that it was interesting that Peter Forsberg said that aspect of life was directed by the one and only Matt Sundin. Okay, let's get over that. We won't talk about him bad anymore. My point is this. That game, they choked. I'm glad the Leafs came back the next night and showed their grit. One of the things that they're saying, I'm finding about the Toronto Maple Leafs is I think they got a chemistry problem. You say it's a good time to be switching the lines and switching guys up to see who they're going to be there.
Well, especially when you have injuries.
Okay, so if you're going to go out for the game, let the line play 6 shifts. Don't be shifting the second period or whatever. I think their defense combinations are, I don't know who's going to play with who on a given night. Then you throw a guy into the press box. Exhibit A, in the Ottawa game, the only player I seen on the ice that I noticed was Nick Robertson and Max Domi. Max couldn't get nothing. Robertson was a healthy scratch the next night. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So where do you build the confidence in these guys or where it's going to go? Benoit made one mistake to the press box, and they brought in the other dude.
Benoit's been a little bit shaky to start the season. We've talked about that.
Yeah,
he's been making a lot of mistakes.
I like the guy.
I like him too, but sometimes you got to sit.
Yeah, oh, no, I agree. But, I mean, sometimes what guy are you sitting? Why didn't Nate Robertson have to sit after? He was the only guy that showed up in the Ottawa game, and he's in the press box the next night. I went, whoa, I don't get that. I didn't see Marner out there that much that night. And can I just say one thing about the Toronto Maple Leafs? Now that I'm becoming more of a Willie Nylander fan, Willie, do whatever you want. That's Willie. That's the way it's going to be. Like, you know what I mean? If you're going to try to put him into a system that's going to work this way, he's not that player. Is he going to have a couple drive-bys? Is he going to have a couple business decisions? Okay, they happen at a time, and they look bigger because he's Nylander. But that happens, once every blue moon? It's not like it's happening every day. He's a liability on defense. Let Nylander be who Nylander is, and I think they'll just be fine. I'm tired of talking about what's he going to do. Is he did that? Oh, he made that bad play. He should have back-checked here. All that. Okay? Nylander's fine. And I think another thing you shouldn't be worried about is, which is an interesting stat, you're 4-1 without Matthews.
Yeah.
No, that can't go on, be sustained forever. However, do you realize you guys are only playing 3 games in the next 12 days?
Yeah, it's a light schedule.
Light schedule. So guess what? We'll see Matthews in after the 12 days.
You'd think?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So why rush the guy back? You're 4-1. You're trying to figure out what you're doing. Now, do the Toronto have a problem up the middle? Is Pacioretty that big of a loss?
I mean, it definitely hurts that he's out.
I'm saying that it was more the chemistry, I think.
With him and Tavares?
Yeah, you remember the lines had the chemistry, then Matthews went out. So I'm just saying that Leafs have a little bit of chemistry problem. And I think Berube is a little bit, in my opinion, I think he's dancing too much with the combinations at the wrong time in the game. Let guys there see what they do, analyze it in the film the next day. Because I'm going to give you an analysis that you're going to...
But I'd rather them do this shit now than down the stretch like we saw with Sheldon Keefe the last couple of years.
Yes and no. I'm
Because
just
like after trade deadline, there's when you should know who your guys are, what your combinations are. Middle of the season is the time for you to kind of like, okay, let's experiment a little bit. We have injuries. Okay, maybe it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise because maybe you stumble on something that you normally wouldn't have.
Okay, so when did you think the game was over against Ottawa the other night? I thought about the 8 minutes of first period. I went, this game's over. Shouldn't be thinking that.
I was out that night, so I didn't have I only saw the highlights, so it's tough for me to say.
Anyways, by 8 minutes into the first period, like this game was over. And that's sad to say at a hometown game. Well, Ottawa has been playing spectacular at Scotiabank of late, which is just a really weird stat. I don't get that one. But like what they formed.
Because Ottawa as a franchise historically are hyper-focused on Toronto.
Oh, well, I get it. So, but anyways, they won 4 in a row now at Scotiabank.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so here's my theory about what's going on with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Maple Leafs.
Toronto Maple Leafs. I like the way they played better last year at this time. I like their style of play better. So I'm going to put forth the preposition, and don't throw anything at me and don't get angry. Once upon a time, the Toronto Blue Jays were freaking offensively amazing. But let's compromise the offense to get a little defense. How did that work out for the Blue Jays?
Apples and oranges. The Maple Leafs didn't. No, because the Leafs didn't make any personnel changes. Now they're telling them to play a different way. That's going to be more effective in the playoffs. I'm not judging until we see April.
Okay.
Am I the most optimistic about this? No, because it's the same players.
Okay, but I like the style they played before. Like, I like the up and down. I like the forechecking, but sometimes they don't go to the net. I'm glad you're right about Riley. He's shooting the puck way more because I think once again he's going, fuck it, let's let the puck fly.
Because come April, you're going to have a lot less time and space.
Oh, agreed. I'm just saying that.
Like the flying by on the side. It looks nice, November, December, January, but that stuff's not going to fly in the playoffs.
Okay, but sometimes the game gets wide open and you got to know you'll be able to go there. I haven't seen Toronto just turn it on in that wide open thing where they go, let's just skate them off the ice tonight. Because some teams you're going to be able to skate off the ice because they're no tougher than you. Mm-hmm. They're around the league. Now, you got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. So I'm just saying the style of play the Toronto Maple Leafs playing right now, maybe it's more effective, but as from a eyes on the eyeball test, I just see bad chemistry, and I think the best thing that you guys got going for you is your goaltending tandem.
100% there.
Your goaltending tandem is outstanding. Like, they were questioning Wall. Okay, it wasn't his fault they lost against Ottawa. He made 2 big saves, and look at the Washington game when he came out and stopped that shot in overtime. That's a veteran.
Well, Stolar's played against Ottawa, but
Stolar's. That wasn't his fault that they lost.
Wall got the win against Washington.
Yeah, okay, I got him backwards. But anyway, did you see the save he made in Ovechkin in overtime? That's a big league save.
He was spectacular that game. He allowed 3, but he was great.
Oh, and anyone, it was not his fault. So then again, so who gets to play tonight? Who plays tonight?
Stolars.
He gets the game. I think
he's the number 1.
He's the number 1.
Saturday night against Edmonton. Come on.
I think he deserves the start. That's for sure. And they're not afraid to use him back to back. So
they are switching them up back to back, but
back to back. But okay, so Stolars plays now and he plays on Tuesday. Because then they don't play again until Saturday, and that's all.
I'd probably just play Stolars again.
So you play them all 3 games in this 12-match streak. Okay. The only thing about that is I think that might stall Wall on the bench because I think that he's had.
Well, actually, they got it's Vegas Wednesday.
Okay, so they play tonight, Vegas Wednesday, and then they play Saturday.
Yes. No, they're off next Saturday. Actually.
Okay, they're off. Okay, so that's
a rare Saturday night without the Leafs, and then Sunday they play Utah. That's it. They're the only game next Sunday.
Wow. Hockey game?
Only hockey game that Sunday.
Saturday night schedule must be packed.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah. Saturday night is owned by the NHL in most places anyway.
Utah's playing back-to-back that weekend, too. Weird.
They're having a rough start.
They're having an okay start. Although they can't score. They need probably like 1, maybe even 2 forwards, 2 wingers.
Okay, well, anyway, before we finished with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I want to just give a big shout-out to Max Domi because I've never seen a player play so hard and get nothing.
Yeah.
It's a drag. Him and Nick, are they playing the
I might bench him just to kind of put his mind at ease a little bit. Just take a little bit of a mental break. Just see the game from a different perspective. What can I do? What am I doing wrong? Not that he's playing horribly.
He's not.
But sometimes you just need a little bit of a reset.
Okay.
I think it's just that simple.
What it is? Okay, I'm going to put it this way. The record is 10-6-1. There's a lot of teams around the league wish they were 10-6.
10-6-2.
10-6-2, whatever the case may be. A lot of teams around the league wish they were 10-6-2. And
Agreed.
In my opinion, they still haven't played their best hockey. So here in Leaf Nation, you guys should have a lot of optimism considering it's only getting to the 20-game mark.
We'll see.
Oh, the only 20-game mark. American Thanksgiving in 10 days. That's a quarter of the season.
Yeah.
That's a fairly large sample size now. So I'm saying we've said what we thought was our best teams, but I'm saying let's put a pause on that, and we're not going to have our NHL power rankings again until the first.
Well, we haven't even done them yet. Yeah, so American Thanksgiving?
The first
show after
the American Thanksgiving. Okay.
That's fair.
Okay, so do you think we'll remain once we got heaters?
We'll talk about that off the air.
Yeah.
We will give a big shout out to Connor McDavid for his 1,000th NHL point, fourth youngest and fourth fastest to do so in NHL history. At whatever he's 27 in like 300 days or something, and then he did it in 659 games, only behind Gretzky, Lemieux, and Mike Bossy.
Very good company. Now I heard Pierre Brunt, is that his name?
Pierre LeBrun,
pretty good hockey guy. Don't listen to him a lot. He said,
he's a good reporter.
I like his takes a lot of times. But here's the general coherent on that. He had a take this week where he said in 10 years there'll be no doubt that Connor McDavid will be considered the greatest hockey player of all time.
Wow.
Okay.
Maybe the greatest talent.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting that you phrased it that way. That was my reaction. When I heard him say that, I said, wow. Because this time, whether or not you want to believe it, I'm going to look at the Marcel Dion, Gilbert Perreault situation about this because they're never talked about. They're two of the greatest hockey players I've ever seen. What did they win?
Bob Orr said Gilbert Perreault was the greatest player or the hardest player he ever played against.
Oh, so, Gilbert Perreault. I've seen him play live a bunch of times. Gilbert Perreault was one of my favorite hockey players, even though he didn't play for Montreal. He was just a great hockey player. And I will swear, and I will bring every pundit out here, anybody that's watched hockey in their life, the greatest line I ever seen in my life was this.
The French Connection line?
No, It was in Canada Cup when we lost because Mike Liut was freaking there. And Gilbert Perreault broke his ankle. The greatest line I ever seen there was Wayne Gretzky at center.
Guy Lafleur
on right, and Gilbert Perreault went to left wing. You couldn't stop the line. They were unbelievable. And then what happened was Perreault broke his ankle during the tournament, and Mike Liut turned to a sieve, and we got embarrassed by the Russians. So the greatest line in Canadian hockey history is not even talked about because it got overshadowed by weird shit. But my point being is this. McDavid is one of the greatest talents of all time already. But when let's look around about your greatness. What do you got to be? How old was Sid when he won his first cup? Okay? How old was Sid? Mario. Those generational guys we talk about. They've all had Stanley Cups by this time. That's the big freaking albatross.
Did Mario have one by this time?
28, I think. 28, 27.
Okay, so the McDavid's just about there.
But then Mario did back-to-back, which is
Mario also didn't play in the salary cap era with 32 teams.
If they had their shit together in Pittsburgh at that time, they would have won freaking 3 or 4 in a row. Using the money wisely, you know what I mean? But you guys had Harold Ballard at that time, so you had no chance anyway. But that's another story.
Not that I was around for that. But
anyways, a huge shout-out to Connor McDavid because that's just an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, one of our favorites here at the house.
No doubt about it. I thought one of the funniest things I've heard about generational players is that Connor Bedard is going back to Vancouver tonight. It's his first time going back to playing his hometown, and he said...
he's paying to play tonight?
I'm paying to play. I'm paying to play tonight.
That's funny.
I thought that was a favorite thing. What do you think about Bedard's season so far?
It's okay. A little bit less than what I thought it was going to be. But, I mean, Chicago is still... they're bad.
Okay,
they're very bad.
Okay, so let's get back to my original theory of what I believe. Kid's got to put on about 10 more pounds. He's getting pushed off the puck too much. He's looking a bit like Cole Caulfield did in his first couple of years, too. Now, it looks like Caulfield's put a little bit of pounds on, but he looked terrible the other night when Tage Thomas just pushed him out of the way.
Tage Thompson.
Pushed him out of the way, put the puck in the net.
Well, Tage's just a big boy.
Still doesn't matter. Give him a little resistance. I think Connor Bedard's just going to have to grow into his size soon because I just think he's a little bit small. He gets muscled off the puck, and he's still only 19. I mean, his talent is there. It's obvious. His skills are obvious, but his size is a detriment to him from my perspective right now. What's the guy, 5'10", 160, 170? You know what I mean? And if he doesn't get that dipsy doodle move, you watch the defenseman. They just ride him off into the corner because he's not strong enough to push off the check. But I think he'll be fine in a couple of years.
I think so, too. I'm not super concerned for him.
The reason I'm bringing that up is that because we were already talking previously about the development of players in the league. And with the advent of Dylan Strome, and who else is it lately that's been playing very well? I forget who it is. Anyway, these guys are about 26, 27.
Look at a guy like Sam Reinhart. It took him a few years to figure it out.
Sam Reinhart's another guy. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Looks like he's going to score 50 goals again this year.
Oh, he's having a great season, and Florida's holding their own, but we'll get to that in a second. My point being is this. All the talent in the world is amazing to have, but you have to have a pound of grit and you have to have a pound of size. Mm-hmm. The thing is, the difference between Sidney Crosby, and he wasn't a big guy, is though Sidney Crosby had oak tree.
Yeah, he's built like a tree.
He's built like a tree, and he's up.
Martin St. Louis, same thing.
Martin St. Louis, same thing. Built like frickin' trees. They got the power. Bedard doesn't look like no tree to me yet, and I don't know if he's got the frame that's ever going to get him there to that size. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping all the best for his skills, but like you said, a lot of people are expecting more from him, and you know what?
Maybe unfairly so at this point.
Agreed, but sometimes he's getting a little saucy on the ice too. I don't like seeing that because I don't want to use Bedard and the B word in the same sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's too good of a player.
I think that just comes with a lot of the spotlight because we heard that about Sid early in his career. We heard that about McDavid early in his career.
I don't think McDavid so much. I think Sid.
McDavid definitely.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, Sid used to flip because he wasn't winning. Like if something bad would happen, he'd just flip. I like that competitive nature for him because I thought he was.
But he'd have guys like chopping at him like they're going for the wood.
Exactly. And he was going. So I kind of liked it because at first I thought he was a bit of a whining guy too. But then you looked at the times when he was reacting to things. I'd be reacting too.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I give him the benefit of a doubt there. I'm seeing something a little different from Bedard. We're going to go there. But we should quickly go around the league to say we are almost at the 20-game point.
Yes.
Of what if you're observing about things going on in the NHL?
Well, yeah, I just want to say, so the East wild card is still pretty insane here early on, especially that last spot where, I mean, the Islanders are in there now. Tampa Bay is actually falling out. Ottawa's knocking at the door. Buffalo's knocking at the door. Even Philly, not too far back.
I think Philly's not going to get there, but I do think the Torts move, benching Mishkov, was a good move. You see him since he's back the last 2 games. Yep. He's still a minus player, but the guy was flying around the ice like no tomorrow.
He's got 3 points, including 2 goals in those last 2 games. So
since the time that he came back, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Good job by the future Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah, he could very well be that. I'm going to say this. I'm going to stay on that bandwagon. I think one of the teams that should be threatened about their playoff spot is the Boston Bruins. They're a minus 16, bro.
Yeah.
You don't do that. You don't make the playoffs and you're a minus, you're like some of the teams are about 500 minus 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Boston's minus 16.
Elliot Friedman had an interesting line on the podcast where he said it looks like they're waiting for something to happen in Boston. I don't know if that's like a trade or like some sort of move.
Ooh,
but
that's a big statement.
Yeah.
They're waiting for something to happen because something's just not right with the team. Their front 6 is not producing the way that they are. And those, moving pylons that they have for defensemen look like moving pylons.
Well, and Hampus Lindholm just got injured too.
Oh, that doesn't help matters anyway. And Marchand's game is not the same. Father Time's catching up with a guy that's playing that long, which gives me the question: does he automatically play for Team
He's
Canada?
already automatically on the roster. They named him.
Oh, that's just insane. Did you hear what the coach of the Swedish team said about Karlsson on Pittsburgh?
No.
If he was in the home country, he wouldn't make the team. Why is he on the team? Yeah, he said he was on there, and he was saying it in Swedish.
I mean, it's harsh, but like I don't totally disagree.
Okay, the rumor was like this: the guy was speaking in Swedish, and he was being really harsh, and an English reporter picked up on what he was saying, and then he tried to curb his words.
And all sort of things get lost in translation too. Let's not forget about that. There's probably some context that we're missing.
Well, anyways, they were saying that he was right. Like when he was analyzing Karlsson's game in Swedish, people were agreeing with what he had to say. But then when one of the reporters in English was saying, "Are you talking about Karlsson like that?" he turned around and he said something diplomatic. But that's pretty interesting when you get a guy that's running the program, the national program, and saying a guy like that shouldn't be on the team. I'm not arguing with that. Okay, which brings me to my next thing I'm going to throw across the table to you, buddy. And I want to know what you can think about this, because the next thing we're going to talk about is salary cap gymnastics. That is the word of the day.
I thought we were talking about look around the league.
Look around the league. So we're on Pittsburgh. We're on Pittsburgh, are we not? So here's my look around the league. If Pittsburgh has this record by January 1st, they must have a fire sale.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they have a fire sale, there's a lot of players on the top of that list that would look comfortable in your lineup during the playoffs.
Okay.
The Toronto Maple Leafs, who I don't know if they could work because they got your buddy Kyle doing the deals down there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
so
I don't think a trade is imminent between the two sides.
Okay, but if they were going to do you think that the Maple Leafs now, we're going to come to January 15th and Malkin is on the trade block?
No, don't want Malkin.
Letang.
No.
Who else is up there? There's about 5
I don't
guys.
think those guys are going to be traded.
Well, I'm saying that if somebody could pull off...
Because because Friedman brought this up in the podcast too, what Dubas' plan is he wants to keep like the core there. And then he kind of wants to like work around it and find some like young guys who are kind of just like knocking on the door. And like those are going to guys that are going to be brought in that he thinks can make the difference. Do I think that's a good plan? I do not. Because I think these guys are going to be picking up. They're either going to be like, you're going bargain basement hunting. So there's like nothing guaranteed. Or the guys that like really are going to be like actually like next in line for NHL jobs. Those are going to be expensive pieces.
I agree. So now
that's a very flawed plan. I think like actually I don't even know if like, it's feasible for Pittsburgh to have a fire sale because they have all these guys that have so much term left on their contracts, and like the only guys you're going to be selling off are like third line, fourth line guys. They're going to like net you like what, a 4th round pick at the deadline. Like whoop-de-fucking do.
Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario. Okay. Toronto Maple Leafs need a center. They're going into the playoffs. All of a sudden, Malkin is on the table.
I don't want him.
Okay, I'm
2
not
years
saying
left at 6.1. No, thank you.
Okay, so
for a lazy guy, no.
Okay, so maybe it reinvigorates him. But here's what the initial will have to be. First of all, the salary cap gymnastics would have to be Simone Biles level. Okay,
it's not happening.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that it's not happening.
I'm saying what could deter the situation is when a team like Toronto or a team like Florida or a team like Minnesota or a team like
Malkin wouldn't even waive his no trade.
Well, I wouldn't go to Minnesota, but
he wouldn't waive his no trade anywhere.
Okay, well,
he's staying with Sid.
Okay,
he signed to play with Sid.
Okay.
Sid signed to play with him. They're not moving.
I'm just saying I've seen stranger things happen, and something's got to go on in Pittsburgh. So I'm just saying it out there. We're just talking because we're hot stoving it. So I'm just saying, what would the Leafs do? I'm saying that the principal problem with doing a deal like that with someone like Dubas is Dubas knows
it's not happening. That's what the Leafs are doing.
Okay.
Why is this even? This is a ridiculous conversation. No offense, but.
I'm telling you, there's going to be guys that are out there that are worth money. Okay, I know not Malkin. I'm going to look around the league. I'm going to continue.
Pittsburgh's not going to trade any of their big boys.
I'm going to throw this around you because I've been looking around the league, and there's going to be some big boys that people are going to dance about in the players. So maybe Malkin was the wrong guy.
We hear this song and dance every year about the trade deadline, though, and it sucks every year.
You don't have a lot of confidence in your team going to the next level, do you?
This isn't about that.
I'm saying that this is the year.
I would feel less confident if they got Malkin.
Okay. Well, I will. In the next month, I will throw this at you every week. What's going on right now? You're the first guy that said to me today, or we're talking in pre-production about, look how tight the standings are in the Eastern Conference. Not only that, in the Atlantic Division. Okay.
Well, the Leafs have kind of pulled up above above the shit show, I would say.
And I think that they're going to remain above the fray for the rest of the season. What's going to be happening is now that piece that puts you over the top, that takes you away completely from the mediocrity of all the teams that are scrambling, and that you know that you have a chance to punch Florida in the face when you get to the playoffs. That's my thinking. And I believe that this is the year that Toronto's going to have to do something like that. According to your theory would say you can't keep going into the playoffs with the same bunch of guys and getting the same results.
Agreed.
So my theory is, and that's why I'm bringing it up, and that's why I don't think it's so ridiculous, I think that when it gets close to the playoffs and the Leafs are in the same position that they are in the last 5 years, and we're not going to have Groundhog Day, they're going to have to make that move for that guy. How they're going to do it, I'm not sure. Do they give up a Minton to do it? See, because then you got to add in all the other little intangibles, because if you're going to get one of these guys, they're not going to come over and say, hey, Melania and Cruz will shovel your driveway for the rest of the winter.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to trade. It's not going to work that way. So what I'm trying to get at is I'm trying to be Nostradamus right now. I think that the Leafs are going to have to make a spectacular move for something if they ride this way for the rest of the year. Now they're getting at the door. We got 10
I don't know
games
if that
left.
player's out there.
Oh, I'm going to find him. I'm going to find him, and I'm going to say, because I think that the biggest thing is, and you've really versed me since I've got to know you more, and I pay way more attention to it, is it's all about salary cap, gymnastics, and money. So when we get to the bottom line, and then the next thing is your prospects.
Yeah.
And you guys have got a few good prospects out. We don't know what they're going to be yet.
A few. I don't think the Leafs have anywhere near close to the best prospect pool in the league, though.
Oh, no, I'm not saying you do that, but you've got 3 or 4 guys that are sitting around that look like they're going to be in the lineup, in the Leafs lineup in the next couple of years. Whatever level player they're on, I don't know.
Yeah, that's again, it's a double-edged sword, though, because like those are guys that like if they do make the lineup in a couple of years, they're going to be cheap, and you need guys like that, especially with the high-paid guys that the Leafs have.
That's my whole theory, that salary cap.
Like a couple of years ago, I was saying they should trade Nyes. How fucking wrong was I on that one?
Ooh, of course. I hear what you're saying. But my bottom line is that you're the one that's got me thinking down this road. All I hear from you is saying, we can't do this again with the same players. We're going to get the same results.
Well, we do have the same players then, so it might be a moot point this year.
So I'm saying that sometimes you got to stir the pot. When has Toronto stirred the pot in the last 4 years?
Yeah, but when does like an outside guy come mid-season and change the culture? Like that doesn't happen.
Oh, I've seen lots of times in the playoffs, guys come in the lineup.
And they've won the cup?
Yeah.
Like who?
Frank Mahovli's joined Montreal. They did it. Butch Goring joined.
Oh my God, 50 years ago.
I'm trying to think of right now.
In the cap era.
I'm trying to think right now.
Doesn't happen.
I'm going to think now. Nobody's made a thing at the deadline. Yeah, someone got a defenseman a couple of years ago for Tampa Bay. Didn't they pick somebody up at the deadline that helped them go a little bit further?
Nah, nothing like huge.
I'd have to think about it. I'm going to research that. I'm just saying my theory personally, and I don't mean to offend everybody in Leafland because I live in Leafland, is when it comes down, if we're skating through this Groundhog Day for another 6 months, and you get to the door and you don't do something going into the playoffs, then I'll jump on your bandwagon and say, Groundhog Day, because I think you have to do something if it goes this way. Now, how do you know? Nice could end up being a 40-goal scorer and be that guy that raises his game to push you over that level, so you don't need that guy.
Well, Nyes has always been a good playoff contributor, so
Okay,
I'm not worried about him.
So maybe his game will go up even higher. You know, when a guy goes up to the next level, maybe it'll do something like that. But I'm saying that there's going to have to be something done, not a Band-Aid, but I mean, you're going to need something on your lineup to change it according to
I don't know. I think this
theory.
is way too early to have this conversation too, but we're not even at American Thanksgiving.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep my hand in the back pocket because I see some teams that are going to sink rapidly and they're going to have to get rid of players.
One team I think that is pulling their heads up is Buffalo, though.
You think so?
Yeah.
They're
finally starting to pull it together.
Okay, my thing about Buffalo is how deep is their defenseman? And I love Darlene, but he's not no guy. He doesn't clear the front of the net out.
No, that's not his game. But they have Bowen Byram and
Owen Power is the guy that
Power.
impresses me the most.
Yeah.
I think he's been the most improved player on that team this year. And their top line with Tuck, Tage, Thompson, and what's the other
JJ
one?
Peterka.
Yeah, that's a good line. And their second line is solid. And they got a third guy. What's his name? He's a great penalty killer, two-way guy. He's out there checking the big centers at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like they're solid. But I don't think they're going to do it because I think their defense is going to betray them. Because sometimes what happens...
Everyone above them has not the greatest D either. So.
Okay, so let's take a look.
And I think they have a little bit better scoring than some of the teams above them.
Oh, no, they can score, and they get open. They play a bit like Toronto.
They get some of the goaltending, too.
Oh, their young goaltender. I love that guy. But let's put it this way. In my opinion, if we're looking around the league, already, Carolina's going to be there in the East. Jersey's going to be there in the East.
I think Carolina's going to fall back a little bit, though.
What do you want to bet in the beer? Top four at the end of the year. There'll be a top 4 team, if not top 3. Bet a beer on it right now? In the East. Right now. We'll put a beer in that.
Definitely not top 4. I'll bet you.
Top 4, beer.
Definitely not. I think what they're having right now is unsustainable. Especially Martin Necas. He's their top scorer.
He's great.
No, he's their top scorer by 11 points. His shooting percentage is over 25%.
I love it. I checked that out.
That's going to fall back down to earth, though.
But what does that tell you? You got a balanced lineup. That's what I'm saying. But I'm going to tell you
But
what.
that's the opposite of balance because like he's so far ahead of everyone else.
Well, because
that's
really
gonna crash. That's gonna crash soon. I don't
Okay,
believe in them.
okay, if he comes back,
their goaltending's a problem. I don't believe in.
Freddie just got hurt. That
And
hurts.
Kachekhov's been a disaster there this season.
Not so bad. And the kid they brought up,
897 save percentage.
they win 5-4 that game. They're good.
Again, not sustainable.
The kid
not sustainable.
They got a kid coming up from the minors is getting rave reviews. AHL guy, so we're going to have to see. I'm just saying, well, I bet the beer on him. Because you know what I like about them, where they don't go in the finals, is this what happens to teams like Carolina, and I think you agree because you've mentioned it before. You can play like this all the way through the regular season, but sometimes in the big game, you need that Matthews, McDavid, the game
Agreed, and
changer.
this is a team that already lost pieces in the offseason.
But they added on. I think they're solid.
Not
Look at
enough.
their goal differential is pretty solid. You know what I mean? And they're top 10 in offense and top 10 in
I'm
defense.
saying this is unsustainable.
20 games now. That's a quarter of the season. That's a little bit more than a sample size.
They're not sustainable.
I'm on the
sustainable.
Kokamini bandwagon.
I know you are.
I'm on the Kokaniemi.
Kokaniemi.
I can't even say his name right. He's fatter than his hockey stick. They got 3 good centers. That's what I'm talking about. And a lot of teams in the NHL don't have 3 good centers. They have 2 good guys and 2 so-so guys.
They're fine, but their goaltending sucks.
Well, we're going to wait and see. I think they're going to pull it off. Now, you don't think Jersey's going to be there?
I think Jersey's fine. They haven't been as
flaws.
They have not been as impressive as we thought.
Because their
goaltending again has kind of been like Jake Allen's he's been the better of the two, but Markstrom, it's again like a lot of what we saw from him in Calgary, where it's like he's very up and down, not at all like what we saw from him back in Vancouver.
I'm still saying that I think Allen has played better. I agree with you. In the games I've seen, because I got Jersey, for some reason my PVR always records Jersey games. I'm looking at my thing. Why do I look at it on? I go, you recorded the New Jersey game. I don't know why. I end up watching it. But Jake Allen's looked much better.
Yeah.
The whole forward line on there, and the thing about Jersey is their back end is big. Best fight of the year. That Dylan and the Florida Jersey game, that looked like a playoff game. Did you see that game?
No.
Oh, they went at it full tilt boogie, and then there was one of those things like, okay, that's now time to fight. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm getting sick of a clean check. You nail a guy in a clean check, and then another guy comes and jumps you. Why? Because you made a clean check?
Yeah.
That's got to stop around the league, don't you think?
I don't think there is a way to stop that.
So they're just going to keep calling it every time you get a clean check, and then
unless they start like giving you a penalty for that, they're not going to stop.
Okay, what happened the other night when Nye's got that thing where he's got to get the high stick? The greatest thing about replay assist was Nye dropped his shoulder. He didn't high stick the guy.
No. Well, that was the thing too. It was the wrong call.
Exactly. So I'm going, well, the NHL had to clean that up really quick because everyone was saying there was.
Well, that's why I don't mind the double minor, the major thing. Like call it, and then just call it just in case, and then we can look at it on the video, and they could get overturned if need be. I actually think that's a great addition to the NHL.
I thought it was one of the best things I've seen all year in hockey because when the play went on, you know me and PVR, let's rewind this. Hey, you didn't high stick. Where's the high stick? So I watched it in real time about 3 times.
He was just bracing himself because the guy ran into him.
It was more the other guy than him, but I'm really appreciating that because 5 years ago, then Nyes would have got a double minor. It would have just been a double minor, and he's in the box. So technology saves it from that point of view. You know what I'm saying?
Back to New Jersey though. Timo Meier underperforming this year. We thought he was, or you especially.
Yes.
He's not even on points for 60. Not even on pace for 60 points this year.
You know what that guy drives me crazy is? Sometimes a game I notice him. He's having a great game, and then the next time I watch Jersey, where is he?
Yep.
Like he's been really up or down. You know what I think it is? When he plays with Hughes, he's okay. When he doesn't play with Hughes, he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm disappointed in him because I'm one of the guys that I thought maybe he could get over 30 goals, maybe push his 40-goal thing. I don't see that now.
No.
You know what I mean? If he gets 20, they're going to be lucky at the way he's been playing.
Well, I think he is going to have
25.
25, maybe 30. But that's like his, that's a ceiling.
At this point in time, I have to agree, even though I was jumping on his bandwagon really huge. But there's a few teams we talked about right there. The Rangers are going to be there.
I agree.
Okay, the Rangers are going to be there. All of a sudden, my boy St. Patrick has got the Islanders moving in the right direction because at the first 10 games, I thought,
they're still 500 in their last 10. So with the negative goal differential, I'm not completely sold on them.
The goal differential is only 1 or 2, though, isn't it?
-5.
Oh, it's -5 because they lost the other night. But I mean, if you're -1, -2 goal differential after the 20-game period, I think you can sway it the other way.
Yeah, but still not a great sign.
No, it's not.
And then they've been mediocre. 4-4-2 in their last 10.
That's everybody in the league.
Well, that's if all it takes is like a Buffalo or an Ottawa or Tampa Bay to win a few games. All of a sudden, Islanders are back out of it. That's my point.
What about our Red Wings?
They're falling out. I've talked to my buddy Rob about this. He says that it's the goaltending keeping them in games and everything else has been disappointing.
Their defense is getting, they're not getting the scoring they usually
That's
get.
the most confusing thing. I thought this team would be able to score a lot more.
Exactly.
But Patrick Kane's production just went off a cliff this year.
He's invisible most nights I watch the Red Wings. You know what I mean?
It's Larkin, it's DeBrincat and Raymond and everyone else basically. And Sider.
Yeah, and he's playing okay. But I think that Detroit's in deep to try to get a playoff spot. After I got more confidence in the Islanders than I do in the Red Wings.
Oh, I do too.
Don't you?
I've lost a lot of faith. I mean, they still could turn around plenty of time, but it is not looking good for the boys in red. Also, shout out Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, we have to bring up the Jets.
15-2 on the season to start. They finally got their second loss.
Okay, and not only that, they went into Madison Square Gardens. That's why I think they had a bit of a letdown against the Tampa.
Yeah.
Because they went into the Gardens, game of the week, and they put them away. It was great for 2 periods, but once they got to the third period, the Jets just wore them down with 4 lines. Rolling 4 lines, man, and they're looking good. And you know what? All those guys that they were saying the perimeter, like the Scheifele's and the Connors and all that, these guys have really risen. They've always played great before, but they've sustained it, and the guys below them have brought their games up too. So, like, I was at the beginning of the season thinking, I hope Winnipeg makes the playoffs after their disastrous playoff performances of the last 2 years. But, like, they can coast now. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah, they go 500 the rest of the way they're in.
They're in. Like, that's just an amazing thing to do. This is the 2 things in sports. The Cleveland thing and the Winnipeg thing have been absolutely unbelievable, because to be able to sustain that at that level is unbelievable. So who around them is going to be there? I think Vegas is their freaking kryptonite, because I think Vegas is going to roll.
I think Vegas is going to win that division, yeah.
Vegas is going to roll out there when you look what's going on in the West. I mean, and Minnesota's holding their own.
Sure, Minnesota, Dallas is still up there.
Yes, Dallas is going to be there. Dallas is one of the best teams in the league. They're my Carolina of the West. Like, if I'm really jumping on a team that I'm going, okay, they're going to be there at the end, Carolina, and I think Dallas is too. Their top 2 lines are great, and they got the young line and the old line. Yeah. I love that, and both lines are playing great. And their goaltending solid.
Sure.
He's looking like
their defense is great.
Their defense is great with that Farber kid. Don't they have him?
That's Minnesota.
Who's the guy on?
Heiskanen.
Heiskanen, yeah. He's a great player, man. He's really, really good.
And both those teams have similar goal differentials as well.
Is Los Angeles going to be able to stay up there at that level?
That's another team I think they're completely unsustainable. Goaltending sucks. I think there's a bunch of guys on their team with, like, shooting percentages that are way too high. Like, Kopitar shooting over 27%.
He's looking amazing.
LaFerriere shooting 22%.
Byfield's looking great. They're looking, and they don't have Doughty.
Byfield isn't looking. His numbers aren't that great, though.
But he's good on 2-way. He's learning. He's still young. What is he, 21? 20, 21?
22, 23.
He's going to be just fine, but
their goaltending sucks. And then the better if their goaltending just got hurt.
Agreed. But what's their record?
They are 9-6-3.
That's
with only a +3 goal differential.
What's the Leafs plus differential?
They are +7.
1 game away from being the same? I'm saying that LA...
but the underlying numbers, like, the Leafs get goaltending. They don't have anyone with, like, a crazy shooting percentage where you're like, okay, that's going to fall back down and hurt you.
Okay, a point well taken. So my point is this: that now we're at the 20-game spot. This is not
almost.
So we're at the quarter of the season mark. Let's cut to the chase on this. So technically, do you really think Los Angeles is going to go as far as Toronto? It's interesting. They basically have the same record at the same time. Now, here's another thing about LA you got to realize, and I think this is why they're going to be able to sustain it. They played the least amount of home games of any team in hockey. They've hardly played at home. They started with a 7-game road thing, and I think they played, how many games they played at home as compared to away.
Let me check the NHL app.
It's so unbalanced. So if they just play 500 at home, they can sustain that, and they usually play 500 at home. You know what I mean? Look at the difference in the games.
They've played 6 at home, 12 on the road.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter with goaltending that bad. I stand by my take.
I still say Saturday night home games in the NHL are freaking...
Agreed, but how many of those do you get a season?
I don't know. I'm just saying that I thought LA was going to fall off the cliff. What are the most surprising things in the NHL this year? Winnipeg, number 1. LA has to be right up there as one of the most surprises, along with Minnesota. Like, that's the 3 big surprises in the league. And L.A., both of us in the preview said, what? We all said, even your brother, well, what's L.A. going to do? Now Doughty's out. Oh, shit, this team.
Well, he had LA in the playoffs.
What's that?
He was the only one to have LA in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And now maybe he's a little bit quicker on us than that. But look at LA. But anyways, we're running along a little long.
Yeah, let's get right to our picks for today.
Okay.
All right. So first up is St. Louis at Boston. I'm going to take Boston to win at home.
Okay. So first of all, how bad did I do last week?
Oh yeah. So last week I was 10 for 12. You were 7 for 12.
You had a good week. I know, really good week. So check on Mr. Milani here if you want to make a couple quid on betting here, because you've been doing good the last couple weekends. If you did the right parlay, so you're taking what game is that?
St. Louis at Boston. I'm on the Bruins.
I'm taking the Bruins too.
Okay. New York Islanders at the Seattle Kraken. I'm going to take Seattle to win at home.
I flipped on this, but because it's Seattle on a Saturday night, I'm not betting it. Or Saturday afternoon, actually, because it's going to be there. But I'm taking Seattle too.
Edmonton at Toronto. Probably the game of the night. I'm going to take the Leafs to take it at home.
I'm saying McDavid's coming in with his fan club. They've been fresh off the Taylor Swift show because they were probably in the box the night before. Maybe that's a detriment after what happened at the Hall of Fame game with the Leafs. But I'm taking the Oilers.
Okay. Columbus at Montreal. I'm going to take Montreal to win this one at home.
Glad we didn't talk a lot about the Habs this week.
They can't be saved. Sorry, Cruz.
Okay, I'm taking the Habs.
Yeah, I want to talk about them, but you glossed over it. New Jersey Devils at the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm going to take the Devils to steal this one on the road.
Can I just say something really quickly? I was trying to gloss over it too.
Well, no shit. New Jersey at Tampa.
Taking Tampa.
Tampa Bay at home.
Yeah.
Winnipeg at Florida. I'm going to take Winnipeg to steal this one on the road.
I'm saying Florida's going to say, no, man, we're the champs. And eventually Winnipeg's got to lose 2 in a row. They're not going to lose 2 in a row a lot. I'm taking Florida all day. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put a pro line on that.
Okay. Buffalo at Philly. I'm going to take the Sabres to steal it on the road.
I'm taking Philly Saturday night at home. Mitchkoff scores in overtime to win.
Ooh, okay. San Jose at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh played last night. They got the loss in Columbus, but I think they're going to bounce back, beat the Sharks at home.
If they don't win tonight, man, that fire sale we're talking about, we'll get to that in a couple months, but it's coming. Okay? Next.
So Pittsburgh?
Yeah, taking Pittsburgh.
Ottawa at Carolina. I'm going to choose the Hurricanes to defend home ice.
I thought you said they weren't any good.
Well, Ottawa's worse.
Okay. Okay. I'm taking Carolina. What do you think?
Yeah, well, obviously.
Oh, in the next game, who do you think I'm taking?
Dallas at Minnesota. I'm guessing you're on Minnesota.
No, taking Dallas.
Wow, Dallas to steal on the road. I'm actually on the Wilds for that one.
Okay, I'm taking Dallas.
Detroit at LA. I'm going to choose the Red Wings to steal it on the road. They lost last night in Anaheim. I think they're going to be upset. They're not going to want to go home without a win.
I'm taking LA, and I knew that last year. I'm taking LA.
And last but not least, the Connor Bedard
6-1
homecoming match.
6-1.
I'm guessing you're on the Canucks as well.
How did you know?
We're both on Vancouver to beat Chicago.
No doubt. Okay, so let's get something here. I can't be a coward, and I am a disciple of the Montreal Canadiens, so we'll just say this. We are in big trouble, man. We won 7-5 against Buffalo this week. That is the second ugliest hockey game I maybe have seen all season. Top 10 ugliest game I've seen in my life. First of all, they should have just put the nets down. So, you know, when you play that game, you have no goalies.
Yeah,
and you put the net. They should have just put the nets down on for starters, because both goalies were atrocious. Everybody played left wing and a couple guys were centers. That was the game. And what was the final score?
What do you say, 7-5?
7-5. Yeah. Some bad goals, too. Just like,
we'll have a full Montreal Canadiens report next week, I guess, because we're running a little long.
Thank you. Okay, well, now we got to get to the most promiscuous league of all the ones in North America, and let's turn this to the NFL.
Yes, the big slut herself, the NFL, where we will get started with our power rankings. I will go first, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Number 5, the team in black and gold from the Steel City, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Number 4, the team just across the pond here, our buddies, the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
Number 3, one of the big rivals of our number 5, who are actually playing each other tomorrow. I got the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, perhaps one of the biggest wins we've seen this season, one of those exciting Sunday night games.
Yeah!
Winners, the Detroit Lions.
Thank you.
And number 1, the still undefeated, the back-to-back defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's quite a hype show you got on there, so I ain't buying into it, okay? So I want my top 5. Okay, here we go. Number 5, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. Ooh. Number 3, the Buffalo Bills. Number 2, that bunch of people that cheer for Taylor Swift all the time. She's showing up tomorrow in Buffalo to watch the game as number 2. And the number 1 team in the NFL is the Detroit Lions, bar none. Come on. I'm just scared about the sustainability of this. We're just so hot right now. You know what I mean? Now, come on. This is not because I'm a Detroit Lion guy. I am a disciple.
No?
Come on. Did you see Sunday night's game?
It was tremendous.
It was one of the best. Oh, my God. And you know how many years that I've been a Lions fan? And we're usually that team that happens to. You know what I mean? So it was so much fun to watch this. And the greatest thing about it, this soundbite will be one of those sound bites of the year, when they were talking to MCDC about we need a turnover, man. Yeah. And the turnover goes on. Not that it affected the game at the end, but throw 5 interceptions. We got away with it.
Through 5, Jared Goff, I'd say he literally threw away his MVP chances in that game. 5 interceptions in the first 38 minutes.
Tom Brady's thrown 5 interceptions in a game and won MVP.
He's not Tom Brady, though.
I'm not saying he is, but if you're looking at it from a statistical point of view, don't kick my boy to the curb right now.
I'm just saying
that the formula for Detroit is, and the first time it didn't happen, Tennessee won, but who were they playing? New England last week? Tennessee's the first team that played Detroit the week before and won all season, and this is week 10. Crazy stat. Detroit's firing on all cylinders. We have the best red zone defense. We have the best third down defense. Do we give up a lot of yards? So what? Isn't that called bend, don't break? Sure. You know what I mean? We just picked up, what's his name, from Cleveland for our pass rush. That's going to come out starting this week. I'm telling you this much right now. If the Detroit Lions don't win this week by 25, I'll be shocked.
And what about your boy Jake Bates? 2 kicks, both of them just making it, including the 52-yard game winner. Well, that was amazing.
I was losing my mind. Now, let's get something straight about
USFL star.
Let's go back on the tape. It's on tape on this show. Didn't I say when
you said he'd be the best kicker in the league? Now, the jury's still out on that one.
Okay, so I know the thing about kickers is, you know what? I really noticed this. If you don't have a kicker that kicks 50 yards, you don't win.
You're done.
You're done. So who are the 3 teams that haven't got it? The Jets. Oh, I forget. I got it written down here. There's 3 teams that have not had a 50-yard field goal this year. It's bizarre. Oh, where is it at now?
But you look at it around the league. I mean, all these other teams in both of our top 5s there for power rankings, what they have in common, great kickers.
Great kickers. And
Boswell in Pittsburgh's been phenomenal this year.
Oh, unbelievable. Yeah. Bates for us. The big problem with Kansas City now is Buckner's hurt.
Buckner's hurt, yeah.
That's going to hurt them a lot. But if you don't have a guy that can make a 50-yarder in the NFL today, you're behind the 8th ball already. You know what I'm saying?
Those are points you're throwing away.
Okay, so now there was a lot of things that got my attention last week besides the Lions game. Denver blowing it against Kansas City on that kick. But what as we were saying is that what they had done is they had watched the film and they knew that guy was weak. They poured it out on the McAfee show. They showed the 3 plays and what guys were doing, and they were saying they were in the dressing room enough to know, don't do it until we need it. And look what happened. Yeah. They blocked the kick. Unbelievable. But if you look at Kansas City's their point differential and how many games, how did they win by? But it's still a sign of a great team.
Yeah, exactly.
To be able to do that.
Pulling victory from the jaws of defeat, right?
Oh, more times than not. And that's got to catch up with you over a course of time, don't you think? So I will be taking Buffalo this week because Buffalo is the regular season guys.
Wow, spoiler alert.
There you go. But I'm just saying that seems the way it's going to be. I think that Kansas City is going to still be there. Come on, let's not discuss it. But the reason I put the Detroit Lions as the number 1 team in the league is because they've been playing like the most.
Because you're a homer?
Team. No, the facts pointed out. Look at our point differential. Look at the way we play. And now we went 2 games on the road. Do you know what it's going to be like? Jacksonville is going to be running for their lives by the time that Ford Field fan gets on them when Detroit's up by 20 points. Oh my God, they're going to say, okay,
that's not a fair fight.
They're going to tap out Jacksonville. And guess what?
Jacksonville is. I did not think they were going to be great, but they are shockingly bad this year.
And
they are really. And Mac Jones is getting the start for them, aren't they?
Yeah, and because Trevor Lawrence is out. So
God bless Jacksonville.
There you go. It should be kind of
Plus
rough.
Jacksonville.
There was a few other things that arose last week. One being that the Rams, who I was on their bandwagon, puked up that game against Miami. However, Miami is a better team with Tua. I should have taken it.
Absolutely. I'm a little bit scared about him tackling with his head, but
that guy's just a hardcore, eh? He comes from a football family. Everything that he was not supposed to do after all this concussion.
he's been doing it again. But like, we kind of figured that was going to happen. That's because that's been his entire career, has it not?
But he does it when he needs it, which tells me he's a football player. I'm going for that extra yard. I didn't always see Cam Newton do that sometimes. And a couple other guys.
Well, so it's funny, too, Newton, whenever he throws shade about that, it's like, buddy, like, the Super Bowl was on the line and you pussied away from it.
Did you hear his latest comment?
No.
He would trade everything in his career just to replay that one play over. He just said it this week on one of the shows. He goes, I gotta own that for the rest of my career.
Oh, because people, that's what he's going to be remembered for. That and like him just being such a baby in the press conference after.
Oh, no kidding. Did you see him coming on First Take and the other football show?
Not to watch First Take.
It's hard to watch. Well, it's better to watch when the race baiter's not on. And they have everybody else.
When's that?
He takes time off, but I've been watching a little bit more in the morning.
The only ESPN show I watch, well, actually two, PTI and, I listen to them, PTI and McAfee.
Oh, yeah, but you know what's good? But only because I forgot about it in the box. But it's too early in the morning. The Get Up show with Greeny. I don't mind
like
that
him.
show. I don't mind him.
I think he's a little annoying. I think they
he's New Yorker.
Yeah, it's always about whatever, like the Jets, the Giants, and the Cowboys.
Okay,
so 99% of the time.
I do think that the NFL made the right move by flexing the game last week because we wouldn't have had Houston and Detroit in prime time. We would have had that sorry, pathetic game with the Jets. Who lost?
I agree.
But I'll tell you this: the New York Jets are the most snake-bitten team in the league.
Agreed, but that was horrible. That was pathetic.
Arizona
31-6.
Arizona that's what I want to bring up now. Arizona is a sleepy team. Like, you know what?
They're a weird team.
Kyler Murray is playing the best ball of his career.
Agreed.
They got a great defense. What's that guy's name? Buddy Baker on defense.
Buda Baker.
Potential defensive player of the year.
Yep.
Their linebacking crew is one of the best going side by side. They bend and don't break.
Sometimes they break. They're a little Jekyll and Hyde.
At times, too. But look at it. We were talking a month ago. We weren't talking about Arizona. We were talking about Seattle. We're Seattle now.
Well, I mean, Seattle, we realized pretty quickly that they were frauds.
No doubt about it. So who's going to win that? San Francisco is still going to win that division? Is that what you're saying?
I would bet on them to win.
I think there's only one team coming out of that division in the playoffs. We discussed it last week, and as we go by weekly, we're going to stay the same. Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay are going to always be in the hunt. There's nobody going to be in the East, Washington and Philly. Yeah,
well, before we get a little bit into like who's in, who's out, I also want to bring up Micah Parsons' post-game comments about the vets and Mike McCarthy. So basically he was asked about, I can't remember what the question was completely, but he was asked about Mike McCarthy, and he said, well, I don't really feel bad for Mike McCarthy. I feel more bad for the vets. They're basically playing their last year, won't have their chance at a Lombardi. And he said, and they all put in more work than Mike McCarthy ever has.
That was the worst throwing a coach under the bus. And I've remember NHL guys have done this over the years, said things about their coaches. But I've never heard anybody go this far. Now, you know what I don't like about what these guys do it? They run the next day to their little podcast show, and then they try to back up. You said it, buddy. It's on record. You've been shooting your mouth off all year.
No, but he's adding context.
Stop it. Here's the deal with Micah Parsons.
No, come on, let's be real. He threw his coach under the bus.
Oh, massively.
Basically said, like, fire this guy tomorrow.
Basically, but here's the thing about Micah Parsons, and I said this from way back when he was getting all his glory. He was never Lawrence Taylor. Why anyone say Micah Parsons and Lawrence Taylor in the same sentence?
Not this season.
No. And
he's still a tremendous player.
Great edge rusher. Trouble against the run. Okay, Remember that. Detroit ran right down their throats. Remember, I don't know if Parsons played that game, but the game before that, Baltimore ran right down their throats when Micah Parsons was playing and DeMarcus on the other side. So, anyways, Dallas is done for the next 3 years. When you got two players, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, who's gone for the year, when you start your season next year, 46% of your salary cap's going to two players. Dallas Cowboys, you're in trouble. Micah Parsons, you'll be welcomed in Detroit. You don't have to stop the run. You just have to pass rush besides Hutchinson because Micah Parsons is going to be a free agent. He's not going to be back in Dallas.
No.
I don't think so. You know what I mean?
So you want to go who's in, who's out?
You okay?
Want to start AFC?
Okay.
So, obviously, Buffalo, runaway winners of the AFC East. I don't think that's even a question. Hasn't been for a few weeks.
If you look at Miami's schedule, they're a team that we can't count out as a playoffs. They're what now? They're 4-7?
3-6.
3-6? Okay, if you look at their next 3 games, they're playing Larry, Mo, and Curly.
But they basically got to win out.
Oh, they do. They got to win out. What would your projection?
Although they go into Lambeau, they go at Houston, they got San Fran.
That's later in the year. They got to win these
still,
next 3 games.
But we're saying they got to win out, though. That's the reality.
How many games to make the playoffs to win?
Probably 10.
Probably 10?
They're at a point where it's like they can only drop 1 game.
Okay, so let's not talk about Miami.
Jets are done. They actually have to win out and
No, they're not going to win. The Jets are no talking in New England. I'm sorry, and they're going to get a beat.
I told you at the beginning of the season, this is a rebuilding year.
Oh, it certainly
is. Let's beef up that offensive line a bit. Maybe get a wide receiver, tight end.
Whatever the case. They got a quarterback. You got a quarterback.
You got the quarterback.
You got the quarterback.
Beef up the D a little bit. NFC North, it's going to come down to Pittsburgh and Baltimore for the division.
Cincy's got to win today, but I'm not going to tell you my pick. Cincinnati has to win. They're the most team that has played some of the most exciting football.
Well, tomorrow they got to win.
Yeah, tomorrow they got to win. They played some of the. Joe Burrow's playing as good as any quarterback in the NFL right now. I don't care.
Although they still got to play Pittsburgh twice.
What if they beat them both?
I'm a lot less confident about that than you are.
Well, the deal is here too, is they're already behind the 8 ball because they've lost 2 division games to Baltimore and they lost to Cleveland. So they
blew some big games early on.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So their division record alone, when it comes to tiebreakers, they're in trouble. So they basically got to win out. But I to say they could beat Pittsburgh twice, possible.
I wouldn't bet money on it. Maybe they could steal the one at home, but I don't think they're going to go into Pittsburgh and win. At least I wouldn't bet on it.
I love Mike Tomlin, but I think that Pittsburgh's a little overrated. In my opinion, I think they're a good football team, but let's get to
I think they could win a playoff game this year the way they're going.
Well, possibly because it's probably going to be at home.
Yeah.
So we're going to there. So let's.
Well, I mean, Baltimore could steal that game or the division, but we don't know. Cleveland, they're out.
They're done.
Moving to the South, it's basically just going to be... Well, I mean, Houston's going to win the division most likely. Indianapolis, I'm going to say, still has a shot at the playoffs.
Well, we'll talk.
But they're kind of in that Miami boat where they can only afford to blow 1 game.
Anthony Richardson's back behind the center this week.
Actually, I got a couple of fantasy conundrums I got to ask you about too.
Okay. Well,
they ended up picking up Anthony Richardson.
I got him in the trade with Pick, but he's on my bench. And I already started Jaden Daniels, and I'm not going to start Anthony Richards over Goff.
No. I have a worse.
I almost benched Jaden. If I had Stafford still on my team, I would have benched him because I called it. Didn't I tell you Philadelphia is going to bitch slap? Oh, that can't happen.
There was almost a backdoor cover though, but
no, that was they let him go down. They gave the defense a rest because when they scored that touchdown, how much time was left?
Like 30 seconds, 20 seconds.
Yeah, so it was like a lot of business decisions on that last drive. You know what I mean? Both teams are going to make it, though. But Washington can't rest on their laurels because they've got some games coming up that they've got to deal with.
Well, we'll talk about the NFC later. Let's stick to the Colts for now. So,
no.
Well, hold on. You look at their schedule; it's actually very winnable.
Yeah.
Because they're at the Jets tomorrow versus the Lions. That's I don't want to say scheduled loss, but it's kind of a scheduled loss. At the Patriots, then you got your bye week. At the Broncos versus the Titans. At the Giants versus Jacksonville. Colts to the playoffs is still a thing,
and they got a good defense.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But there's a lot of dissension going on in the clubhouse. They have clubhouse problems, people talking about what's going on. I just hope that they can get together as the chemistry unit gets back together because they're not a bad team.
No. I hope Anthony Richardson figures it out too.
Oh, I do because he's a very exciting player. But no, they're on the borderline.
Yeah. Then Tennessee, Jacksonville, bye-bye.
Yeah.
AFC West, Kansas City, 9-0. The Chargers are still there, 3 games behind, but I think we can safely say it's the Chiefs division.
I say the Chargers are going to make the playoffs.
I think so too at this point. I mean, and Broncos 5-5, you got to give them a chance.
Broncos
Raiders are done. Sorry, Serge, but
they're out of it 100%. 100%. They're gone. No chance.
Yeah, Broncos and Chargers are actually both in wild card spots right now
as we speak. But Denver's got the easier schedule, I believe.
Than the Chargers?
Yeah, a little easier schedule. But I think they got a lot of common opponents. So it's just win the game when it's in front of you. You know what I mean? And Chargers have got something about them. Their defense. You know what I mean? They're old school like we talk about Harbaugh. They got no line. They got a D-line.
Yeah, the Chargers schedule, I would say like a tad harder, but we're splitting
mostly,
hairs.
Yeah, mostly common thing. But I'm expecting the Chargers to make the playoffs.
Yeah. And then I guess we can move this to the NFC. So NFC East, I mean, that was a big win for Philly. Probably puts them in charge of the NFC
They're
East,
winning
the rest
East.
of the division. Yeah,
They're winning the East.
the rest of the season. Washington hanging in there. I mean, they're still very much alive for the wild card. Should make it at this
I think
rate.
they should too. They're still 7-3, right?
7-4.
7-4. So I think, and they got a bye coming up, so they can readjust. And they're playing a last place schedule.
Yeah.
So that could be to their advantage.
We got Dallas.
No,
they're 3-6. They're done. Giants are done.
No.
Moving to the North, the tightest division in the entire league. Detroit 8-1 leading that division. Although Minnesota's still not out of the woods yet. 1 game behind.
And so Green Bay's not there.
And then 2 games. And then you have the Packers just 2 games back.
Toughest division in football, which
hands down.
When I predicted at the beginning of the season, one of my predictions that don't be surprised when we get to midseason and the NFC North is the toughest division in football.
Well,
and
the Vikings have been very surprising. I did not expect them to be this good. They're you're starting to see some cracks, especially with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot of talent on that team.
Their defense is holding them into the games. They're very good. I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of those teams made the playoffs.
Oh, neither would I. Neither would I.
I mean?
The Bears are kind of falling apart. They're still 4-5. I guess they're still technically alive for the playoff hunt, but they've lost 3 in a row.
As Aaron Rodgers says, we're not mathematically eliminated.
Well, he's just doing his part as the leader. But the Bears falling apart the worst time. They fire their offensive coordinator, even though I don't think he was necessarily the problem.
That's throwing money. That's just burning money. That guy got a 2-year contract for good money.
Ugh.
And now they fired him. So you just piss money out the window, but that's the Bears. Another story. Continue.
That's the Bears. Atlanta Falcons leading the NFC South. Tampa Bay still 2 games behind, although injuries might cost them.
That's
an
right. They're
opportunity
2
here.
games behind Atlanta, right? And Atlanta doesn't have no great record.
6-4, yeah.
So they're there. So that division
with a barely positive point differential. They're +2.
Yeah, so that's not bode well.
And then the Tampa Bay is a +13, so not much better. And they've lost 4 in a row.
Tampa?
Yeah.
Oh, they're in trouble. They got to win this week. No, they're on a bye, aren't they?
No, Tampa is on a bye.
Yeah, they're on a bye, which is much needed bye for that team.
But they came out of their bye. They have a very winnable schedule.
Yeah.
At Carolina versus the Raiders. At the Chargers, that's a tough one. At Dallas versus Carolina versus the Saints. So Tampa Bay not quite out of it yet, but again,
injuries killed them. Big shout out to Baker.
When your top 2 wide receivers and Chris Godwin is having a spectacular season too. That was a big shame.
Baker Mayfield playing the best football of his career. Give the guy his props. Leading the league in touchdown passes as we speak.
I know, insane.
Yep,
insane.
Very good there. Yep.
And then Saints, Panthers, bye-bye.
Yep.
Into the NFC West, the final division, Arizona Cardinals, somehow on top of this division, although San Francisco 49ers just half a game behind, knocking on the door. Then the Rams hang in there as well. Seattle had a good start, but they're quickly falling behind the 8 ball.
I feel bad for my boy Matt Stafford, who had a bit of a rough game on Monday night, but I think they really had to win that to keep pace. I think it's making the Rams fall off the cliff. I'm not saying they're going to be there because their front 4 kids are just amazing, but that was a tough loss on Monday. You don't get that back. Where they're going to get it along the way, and their schedule is
the Rams.
Yeah, they've got some games they got to play to go. And
they got to play the Eagles next week. They got to play Buffalo a couple weeks after. They go into San Fran the week after that. And then you got Carolina a couple weeks after that. So it's going to be a tough one for the Rams. I don't think they're going to be able to pull it out.
I think if any 2 make the team playoffs there, it's going to be whoever wins the division. But I think Arizona's showed enough that they're going to be, when we're talking a month from now, Arizona's still going to be kicking around. Way better than I thought they'd be. Their defense is what really surprised me.
Although they got to win the division to make the playoffs, you'd think.
Possibly because of the 3 teams.
Well,
in the
yeah, because you got
North.
the 2 teams, 2 and 3 in the North, and then you have the Commanders as well. Those are going to be tough to pass.
Point well taken. They may have to win the division. You're right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That basically takes us around the league. Anything else for the NFL?
No, except for there was. I want to know one question of the week about the NFL is you have replay assists. You got cameras coming down from Elon Musk satellites. How come we're missing so many face masks penalties in the NFL this year?
Well, they're not reviewable.
Then someone's got to go to New York.
That's probably a change that they're going to circle for the offseason because we know the NFL makes changes every offseason.
Sam Darnold, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Justin Hubert. These are 4, even one on Russell Wilson. These are blatant face mask. Like, I mean, you see the face mask there. You see the player reacting, and then you don't see a flag. It's a mind-blowing. And some of the, not only that, a couple of the wide receivers have been mugged a couple times.
Sure.
So I'm hoping they clean that up, because sometimes these players are at most situationally at a very tough time during the game. And what ends up happening? It affects the outcome of the game.
Sure.
So we're going to have to see. I guess we're going to go to our picks now, eh?
Yes, sir. So it is time for our picks against the spread. So you picked the Eagles on Thursday. I was on Washington, so you're already up on me early in this one.
How did we do last week?
Last week was a tight one. It was a tie. We were both not good. We were 6 for 14 each.
Everybody in all the leagues anybody that was 500 picking last week had a good week.
Well, there you go. So
we
I guess we
weren't
did
that
not have a
bad.
good week.
Okay, let's go.
Green Bay at Chicago. I'm going to take Green Bay's favored by 5.5 points on the road. Like I said before, Bears are falling apart. Give me Green Bay all day, baby.
I'm taking the Packers too.
Jacksonville at Detroit. Detroit favored by 2 touchdowns, a full 14 points at home. I think this one could be a 20-point win like you.
Yep,
Give me
Lions
Detroit.
all day. Roar at Ford Field.
Not with the real lion, though, unfortunately.
They had that at LSU, though.
Yeah.
We're
It was the only Tiger that showed up.
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins favored by 7 points at home. I don't love the spread, but I'm going to take Miami.
I'm taking Miami too, because I think they got enough offense as opposed to the Raiders having no offense. So it could only be like a 20-10 game, but that's a cover.
Yeah.
You know.
LA Rams at the New England Patriots. Rams favored by 4.5 points on the road. I'm going to take the Patriots to cover at home.
I thought about that too, but I think that the Rams have got enough on their front end that they're going to be, what's his name? Drake May's going to have a rough day at the office.
We'll see.
So I'm taking the Rams.
Cleveland Browns at the New Orleans Saints. This one, the favorite actually changed. New Orleans was the opening favorite by 1 point. The line moved. Now Cleveland is a 1-point favorite on the road. Give me the Browns.
I'm taking the Saints all day.
Wow.
They turned it around with a new coach. Looks like something different, and that is a home field advantage at the Dome in New Orleans on most day. And Cleveland ain't scaring nobody. So I'm taking the Saints.
Neither are the Saints.
I'm taking the Saints on my parlay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is brave of you, sir. I would not do that.
I am. Well, if you had to pick 6 teams, which 6 would they be? It's pretty tough.
Not that one.
I'm taking the Saints.
Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore 3-point favorites on the road. Give me the home dog, the Steelers. They've actually owned Baltimore recently.
And I say that this is where the day that Baltimore's got to make their statement that they are one of the best teams in the NFL. They're beating Pittsburgh by 10.
Wow. Okay, Minnesota at Tennessee. Minnesota's favored by 6 points on the road. Give me the Vikings.
That's another scary one because, statistically, Tennessee is the best defense in the league, or top 3. Mm-hmm. Now, if they weren't on the field so much, how much better would they be? Interesting. And they got Sam Darnold. I'm taking the Vikings. I'm not comfortable with that. As a matter of fact, when I play my pro line tomorrow, I'll actually be boxing that game.
Okay. Indianapolis at the New York Jets. Jets favored by 4 points at home. I think this is going to be a big one for the Colts. Give me Indianapolis.
Aaron Rodgers, I still have faith in you.
Taking the Jets?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Atlanta Falcons at the Denver Broncos. Broncos favored by 2 points at home. Give me the Broncos. I think they're going to be fired up.
What game was that?
Atlanta at Denver. Denver favored by 2.
Wow, I didn't. I did not have that on my sheet because I guess I was still debating it. Atlanta at Denver. I'm going to take the Falcons to steal the win.
Wow. Seattle at San Francisco. San Francisco favored by 6.5. I think they're going to win by a lot more than that. Give me the 49ers.
I'm taking the 49ers too.
Kansas City at Buffalo.
I've already told you
Buffalo's
what I'm taking.
favored by 2 points at home. I think KC's going to steal this.
I'm taking Buffalo.
No, they're going to
Bills Mafia. Let's do it.
Taylor Swift in the house. Let's go.
Oh, no, they're all tired from the show last night.
Stop it.
Because 3 nights in a row, she's played here. She needs.
She's on the field. I see.
So come on.
The Sunday Nighters, Cincinnati at the LA Chargers. Chargers favored by 1.5 at home. I'm going to take LA.
I'm taking LA too. I think this could be the most interesting game of the week, and I think it's going to be highly entertaining because both teams got to win this game.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too.
And last but not least, the Monday Nighter, Houston at Dallas. Houston's favored by 7 points on the road. I think this screams backdoor cover for the Cowboys.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this much right now. Texas is losing their mind. This is a Texas game on Monday night, national TV. It's going to be an embarrassment for Jerry World because Houston's going to fucking blow them out of the water.
Okay.
You watch. Kill them.
All right, so quite a few different picks between us this week, sir. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much. I forgot about that. I better check to make sure I sent my pick. If I didn't get that, I'm taking the Falcons, but I think I've already checked my phone and see if I've sent it in. In any event, we're running way too late. So I'm going to put the gospel on hold again. We're not religious anyway. We can always hear about the good word from wherever we want. There's a lot of people out there telling me how significant God is in our world today. So go read your gospel. How does that sound?
Go to church, people, before football. There's no game in Europe you got to wake up and watch and miss church for. So let's.
The community of church is good for society.
Come to Jesus.
I'm not going to touch that at all. Why does Jesus never grin, by the way?
There's portraits of Jesus or like pictures of Jesus where he's smiling.
But the Mona Lisa smile?
No.
I'm just saying.
Well, it's not like toothy, like a nice toothy smile, but
I'm just saying, like I always have.
None of those guys in old paintings or whatever, like figures you ever see smiling.
I have a lot of pictures taken of me personally where it's not a toothy smile, but you know I'm grinning. I kind of like to look at it.
Are you comparing yourself to Jesus?
No. No. I think the only thing we have in common is we smoke weed.
Did Jesus smoke weed?
Sure. Come on. Look where he was hanging out. You know what?
I mean, we knew he was homies with the homos.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So he definitely said, okay, boys, let's chill out tonight. I had a lot of that, all that freaking bringing people's sight back. And,
John rolled me up a fatty.
Yes, you know what I mean? Making the cripple walk, changing water into wine, feeding all those people with 3 fish. Guy needed a break.
And the 2 loaves, yeah.
And the 2 loaves. He needed a little freaking, a little sativa to celebrate his evening. But in any event, everybody enjoy the games tomorrow night.
Looking forward to the Grey Cup.
Oh, yeah. Go Argos all the way. I'm just going to tell you one more time because just to remind people of this. There's a lot of bitching going on today about a spectacle that went on last night. We're not going to talk about it anymore, but just remember, be careful what you wish for, and most importantly of all, think about what you're paying for.
Well, A, I don't think anyone was wishing for that. B, everyone has Netflix anyways.
Okay, then Netflix made a bundle.
Netflix is Netflixing, put it that way. Everyone tries to take him down as the big streaming king. I don't see anyone taking him down.
Not lately.
Amazon, maybe like they have a little bit of an advantage because they bundled that with like some other stuff, but...
Okay, I look at it
but
this
Disney
way.
Plus, nah.
Apple,
nah.
Okay.
HBO, nah.
Okay, so I look at it this way. I'm certain to believe that Netflix is Coke and Amazon is Pepsi. Kinda.
I prefer Coke.
Oh, I do too, 100%. There's no doubt about it. I don't even drink Pepsi. But in any event, we've been running a little long. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember, everybody on the street that's telling me about that was an interesting take, give us a like. You know where to find us, correct?
Everywhere.
Everywhere we're going to be out there. As a matter of fact, I got a little, we'll talk about after the show. We're going to have a Christmas extravaganza. It's only 1 month away. So we will keep you posted and we will go from there. Anything else you'd like to bring to the table?
I think that's just about it.
Radica, you've been taking good care of this boy. Whatever you've been doing to him, continue. It's a good thing.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Okay, I agree with that. It's a good thing. And I did not mean, Mrs. Milani, I did not slag Matt Sundin today.
Yes, you did. Don't lie.
I did not slag him.
I can see like the little devil tail peeking out from beneath your pants there. So we'll just leave it at that.
We'll just leave it at that. In any event, go Habs, go.
Is this because I didn't put Guy Lafleur in my top 10 Habs?
Get out of here.
Difference of opinion.
There you go. Anything else you'd like to bring to the table?
That's just about it.
Well, hello. My name is Cruz.
And I'm Andrew Blaney. What do?
We keep
the vibe alive. You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.